Technological divergence from the Type 59. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. A close look at the charm of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Half an hour passed in a flash, and Yeo Zicheng suddenly paused, having concluded his presentation on the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. Seeing everyone's eager faces, Yeo Zicheng couldn't help but wonder, didn't I explain it in detail enough? Why isn't anyone responding? Just then, Lin Chenran started applauding, and the others followed suit, as if awakened from a dream. Suddenly, the conference room erupted in applause. Seeing this, Yeo Zicheng smiled with satisfaction. It wasn't that Yeo Zicheng's presentation was poor, but rather that it was so good that everyone was completely captivated. He was particularly impressed when he introduced the Osprey's unique design and powerful features. This innovative design not only gave it immense transport capabilities, but also gave it a wide range of battlefield possibilities. As the project's chief designer, Yeo Zicheng undoubtedly demonstrated his exceptional talent and profound expertise. His explanations were insightful, engaging, keeping everyone engaged. Yeo Zicheng had initially arrived at the 077 machinery arsenal with some reluctance, but now his mindset had changed. He began to realize that this might be the perfect place for him to display his talents. Here, he could put his ideals into practice and contribute to the nation's military. As the applause gradually died down, Senior Navy Officer Zhang smiled and said to Yeo Zicheng, "Engineer Yeo, your presentation was truly brilliant. We've gained a deeper understanding of the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft." Yeo Zicheng smiled modestly, feeling a surge of accomplishment. Immediately afterwards, Lin Chenran led everyone out of the 077 machinery arsenal conference room and headed to the test site. Upon arriving at the test site, everyone immediately caught sight of the star of the test, the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. Its majestic and imposing appearance was a sight to behold, resting quietly there, as if awaiting their inspection. The Osprey was currently folded, but this in no way diminished its majesty. The eyes of the Yan Kingdom's military leaders gleamed with excitement and anticipation, their hearts ablaze with excitement, eager to see this mysterious Osprey up close. The Yan Kingdom's naval brass were especially captivated, because the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft perfectly meets shipboard deployment requirements and is expected to become a valuable asset for the Yan Kingdom Navy. Lin Chenran smiled as he observed the excitement, knowing his design had successfully captured the military's attention. A broad smile spread across his face, and he thought to himself, "I just can't believe the military wouldn't be enthralled by the Osprey." Then, Elder Zhang broke the ice, his eyes filled with eager anticipation, like a child awaiting a gift. He spoke excitedly, "Lin, can we see the Osprey up close? I can't wait to experience this technologically advanced aircraft up close." Elder Zhang's interest in the Osprey surpassed that of the Z-20 heavy lift helicopter. This wasn't because the latter was inferior. On the contrary, the Z-20 boasted powerful performance, adaptable to a variety of complex environments and mission requirements. However, for the Yan Kingdom Navy, the Osprey held a unique allure. This was primarily due to the limited space aboard warships. Every inch was precious. Packing as many helicopters as possible into a limited space means increasing combat power. While the Z-20 heavy lift helicopter is also exceptional in its own right, the Osprey offers superior space-saving performance and a higher cost-performance ratio. In certain circumstances, the Osprey better meets the Navy's needs. Lin Chenran smiled slightly and replied respectfully, "Of course, no problem. I was thinking of inviting everyone to see and experience the Osprey up close." Although Chief Engineer Yeo just gave a very detailed explanation, seeing is believing. Seeing and experiencing it up close is truly a different experience. Lin Chenran led everyone in a pre-prepared sightseeing vehicle to the Osprey. The Osprey's immensity hadn't been apparent from a distance, but upon approaching, the overwhelming feeling was overwhelming. This is the Osprey? It's truly amazing. Could this be a multi-purpose transport aircraft independently designed, developed, and manufactured by Yan State? The Yan state military brass present were incredulous. This was a transport aircraft they could own. It felt like a dream. The previous Z-20 heavy lift helicopter was modeled after the Chinook heavy lift helicopter used by the Eagle. The Osprey multi-role transport aircraft, however, was not based on any reference helicopter. It was independently designed, developed, and manufactured by the 077 Machinery and Military Factory. Mr. Zhang, Mr. Wendy, and all the leaders, please take your time to inspect the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft designed, developed, and manufactured by our 077 Machinery and Military Factory. In about 15 minutes, our testing will officially begin. Lin Chenran raised his left hand and glanced at the time on his watch. The Yan state military leaders were like Liu Leo entering the Grandview Garden, looking here, touching there. After observing for a while, Mr. Wendy and Mr. Zhang came over to Lin Chenran. The Osprey multi-role transport aircraft indeed met the needs of the Yan state military, especially the Yan state navy. Lin, the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft is not cheap. Mr. Wendy asked nervously about the price of the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. It was mainly because the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft had a more sci-fi feel than the Z-20 heavy lift helicopter. Lin Chenran stated the price of the Osprey very directly. 28 million Yan B. We at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal are only making our hard work pay. When Lin Chenran revealed the price of the Osprey, Elder Zhang and Elder Wendy gasped. The Osprey was ridiculously expensive, but it was worth it. Its sci-fi appeal surpassed any existing helicopter. It was the first foldable, vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL, transport aircraft, perfect for shipboard deployment. My lords, if the Osprey can be sold, and sales reach a certain volume, Lin Chenran said, I can agree to a price reduction and sell it to the military at the lowest price possible. He was quick to point out his true feelings. It couldn't be helped. The Yan Kingdom's military wasn't as flush with military spending as they were in later generations. Warships and aircraft carriers were being launched like dumplings. The Yan Kingdom's military was now broke. 28 million Yan B for an Osprey? The Yan Kingdom Navy had never been so extravagant. The price of 5 planes is equivalent to that of a warship. Chapter 152 Osprey Multi-Purpose Transport Aircraft. I'm expensive for a reason. There's a reason for its high price. The Osprey is the world's only tilt-rotor aircraft capable of both vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL, and short takeoff and landing, STOL. This Osprey is truly unique. While it may appear like a standard fixed-wing aircraft, it holds a hidden gem. Its 2 rotatable wingtip engines power its massive rotors, a truly breathtaking sight. In fixed-wing mode, it resembles an airplane with 2 massive propellers mounted on each wingtip. In helicopter mode, it transforms into a helicopter with 2 smaller rotors. This design allows it to combine the vertical takeoff and landing capabilities of a helicopter with the high speed, long range, and low fuel consumption of a fixed-wing propeller aircraft. Even more impressive, its maximum speed reaches 509 km per hour, making it a contender for the title of world's fastest helicopter. Such exceptional performance truly represents exceptional value for money. The Yan nation's military leaders have confirmed that the Osprey is a truly worthwhile investment. The military of Yan state is really broke now. Now they can only make small-scale purchases. Want to make large-scale purchases? Empty bags, but it's still possible to think about it. After the military leaders of Yan state watched and felt the charm of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft up close, the most important part of the day came next, the test flight of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Lin Chenran took everyone on the sightseeing bus and returned to the audience seats. Along the way, everyone excitedly discussed the test flight of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, looking forward to witnessing the arrival of a historic moment. As soon as he arrived at the audience seats, Lin Chenran immediately signaled the staff of his own 077 Mechanical Military Factory to conduct a final inspection of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft that was about to undergo a test flight. It is necessary to ensure that the aircraft has no faults or safety hazards to ensure the smooth progress of the test flight. Time passed by minute. After 10 minutes of careful inspection, The engineers of the 077 Mechanical Military Factory finally confirmed that the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft was in good condition and could be tested. Upon hearing the news, Lin Chenran gave the order of test flight without hesitation. The test pilot's heart was filled with nervousness and trepidation, but he managed to suppress his fear and methodically began operating the Osprey's instruments. In the frenzy of activity, the test pilot forgot his inner fear. As he moved, the aircraft's engines emitted a deep roar, like a sleeping giant awakening. Amidst the cheers of the crowd, the Osprey slowly unfolded its massive arms. At that moment, everyone held their breath, their eyes fixed on the behemoth. The scene was truly breathtaking, truly sci-fi. It felt like something from the future, a testament to the formidable R&D capabilities of the 077 machinery arsenal. The atmosphere was heated and exciting. So cool. Someone couldn't help but exclaim. The Osprey's arms slowly unfolded, like a giant bat spreading its wings. As the arms extended, the two large propellers began to spin, churning with a deep, powerful roar. Everyone watched with awe. Curiously, they asked, won't the two propellers collide? How come there's no problem? Lin Chenran smiled and explained, actually, the Osprey's two propellers rotate at different frequencies. Because their speed is so high, beyond the range of the human eye, our eyes can't accurately detect their rotational frequency. As a result, our brain receives a false message, mistakenly believing the two propellers are rotating at the same frequency. After hearing Lin Chenran's explanation, everyone at the scene suddenly understood. So that's how it works. Useful knowledge +1. Under the eager gaze of the crowd, the Osprey began to slowly ascend, everyone's eyes fixed on it. As the aircraft gradually rose, the crowd cheered excitedly. Great. We did it. This is amazing. The test pilot skillfully flew the Osprey around the test field, demonstrating its outstanding performance and maneuverability. Once the Osprey reached a certain altitude, the pilot began to tilt the wings forward. The aircraft entered parallel flight mode, maintaining a level fuselage. At this moment, the Osprey flew smoothly at an astonishing top speed of 509 km/h, demonstrating its exceptional flight capabilities. However, this high-speed flight carries significant risks. Any minor mishap during the transition could cause the aircraft to lose balance and crash. The audience held their breath, silently praying for everything to go smoothly. As the seconds ticked by, the tension intensified. Finally, the Osprey successfully completed the transition from vertical to key after parallel flight, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Great. We did it. Their faces beamed with pride and joy. This successful test flight signified the Osprey's potential for wider application, enabling it to perform missions in a variety of complex environments. Lin, congratulations to the 077 machinery arsenal on developing another excellent helicopter. Elder Wendy, observing the Osprey's smooth and flawless flight, smiled and congratulated Lin Chenran. Thank you, Mr. Wendy. Lin Chenran said modestly, but this is the result of the joint efforts of all the employees of our 077 mechanical arsenal. Without their hard work and wisdom, this helicopter would not have been developed so smoothly. Lin Chenran knew that the successful development of this Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft was inseparable from the efforts of every engineer and technician involved. They worked day and night, constantly overcoming technical difficulties, which made this helicopter so outstandingly displayed in front of everyone. Although the military leaders of Yan State attached great importance to the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, their empty pockets did not allow them to make large-scale purchases. The Yan State military only made small-scale purchases. Purchased 10 Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. And these 10 Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft will mostly be allocated to the Yan State Navy. At the same time, the Eagle Source intelligence personnel sent a piece of intelligence back to the country. It caused an uproar in an instant. Chapter 153. Yan country has already conducted test flights. We are still in the process of development. This intelligence was simply shocking. Yan country had actually successfully developed a helicopter, the Osprey, a multi-purpose transport aircraft, unique in the world. Even more astonishing was that this Osprey was exactly the same as the helicopter envisioned by the United States Boeing and Bell helicopter. What was going on? The reality was even more dramatic. Yan country's Osprey had already begun flight tests, while the helicopters of the United States Boeing and Bell helicopter were still in the design and development stage. Faced with such a pressing situation, Boeing and Bell helicopter immediately convened an emergency joint meeting to discuss how to respond to the challenges posed by Yan country's new helicopter. This situation became particularly difficult, especially considering that this helicopter was highly similar to the one they had jointly designed and developed. As the members of the joint R&D team arrived one after another, the meeting finally officially began. The members of the R&D team were all confused. They didn't understand why everyone was called to attend this meeting. Such a situation was really rare. Gary Aurelio, the Boeing representative, sat at the head table. His face was grim, and he declared solemnly, "Gentlemen, I must share some very bad news." Everyone present felt a wave of nervous unease. Bad news? What does this mean? Someone whispered. Is our team disbanding? Another asked anxiously. Does this mean that two companies will develop helicopters separately? Someone else speculated anxiously. The crowd below erupted in a cacophony of discussion, filling the conference room with an uneasy atmosphere. In reality, this joint research team formed by Boeing and Bell helicopter was not as harmonious as it appeared. Both sides were often competing behind the scenes, even secretly creating trouble for each other. Quiet, everyone, be quiet. Gary Aurelio roared angrily, his voice echoing throughout the conference room. His eyes widened, his face flushed red as he roared, his voice echoing throughout the room. It turned out that Sorrel Connors had lost the competition to become the head of the helicopter project, and he had always held a grudge against Gary Aurelio, constantly hurling insults at him. Gary Aurelio sighed quietly, then continued, "This is intelligence we received from other sources. Yan country has already surpassed us, developing a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft and completing its first test flight." When Gary Aurelio shared his information, everyone present looked incredulous. What? How is it possible? Yan country has such capabilities? And they've even flown it. Everyone present knew the difficulty of a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. Two of the world's best aircraft companies combined couldn't develop it, and yet Yan country had done it, and even flown it. Was it April Fool's Day? Sorrel Connors, standing nearby, was the first to question. Gary, are you kidding? Does Yan Nation have that kind of capability? Gary Aurelio didn't waste any time, simply handing Sorrel Connors a document, demonstrating that the situation was as serious as he'd claimed. Initially, Sorrel Connors was relieved, believing Gary Aurelio was exaggerating and wondering if Boeing was pulling out of the foldable tilt-rotor aircraft project. Suddenly, Sorrel Connors' brow furrowed, exclaiming, "That's impossible. How could Yan Nation possibly have the capability to manufacture such a helicopter? This must be a mistake." After reading the document, Sorrel Connors looked up at Gary Aurelio, hoping to convince him that the information was false. "Sorrel, this intelligence was sent by an agent hidden in Yan country. The last page contains photos taken by our satellite. It's a little blurry, but you can see the general outline. Yan country does have a foldable helicopter." Gary Aurelio replied solemnly. He hadn't believed it at first, but as more and more intelligence came his way, he was forced to believe that Yan country had truly outstripped them, developing a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft, even with the same codename, Osprey Multi-Purpose Transport Aircraft. At Gary Aurelio's beckoning, everyone present read the contents of the document. Soon, a series of sighs echoed through the conference room. Hiss. The members of the research team, like Sorrel Connors, lost their composure. There was nothing they could do. The news Gary Aurelio had brought was so explosive. They finally believed that Yan country's military factories had developed a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft before them. After allowing everyone to calm down, Gary Aurelio asked seriously, "Everyone, what do you think we should do next?" Everyone was silent. The news Gary Aurelio had brought was so shocking that it had completely stunned everyone. They were still in a state of shock. Meanwhile, Sorrel Connors, standing nearby, suppressed his uneasiness and spoke slowly. "Gary, we need to continue gathering intelligence on the Yan Nation's foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. And we need to increase our research and development of our own foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. Sorrel Connors was also worried that the two companies would suddenly announce the dissolution of the foldable tilt rotor project. He was currently one of the project's lead engineers. It was a rare opportunity to develop a new helicopter. He certainly didn't want to go back. He also wanted to develop something new so that he could be more valuable back at Bell Helicopter. Gary Aurelio glanced at Sorrel Connors and thought to himself, HMPH. Sorrel, you finally put aside your damn pride and are willing to cooperate? If it weren't for you, we would have completed our research on the foldable tilt rotor long ago. We developed the world's first foldable tilt rotor. Of course, this was Gary Aurelio's inner thoughts, not something he would say publicly. Since Sorrel Connors was willing to cooperate, Gary Aurelio was generous and let him go. Sorrel, we at Boeing will continue to follow up on the information regarding Yan Nation's foldable tilt rotor. I hope you can lead the team in developing the foldable tilt rotor as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we can't guarantee that our companies will cancel this project. Chapter 154 countries around the world. Does Yan country have this ability? The cancellation of this project would be detrimental to the entire R&D team. Members of the team came from both Boeing and Bell Helicopter. If the project were cancelled, they would all return to their respective companies, leaving their families behind. For various reasons, they would be temporarily unable to participate in other projects. Therefore, they resolved to devote their utmost effort to R&D and avoid any more palace infighting. Yan GUO's development of the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft wasn't entirely without its drawbacks for the team. It also had its benefits. The 077 machinery and military factory's development of the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft allowed them to work together to overcome technical challenges. With the unveiling of the 077 machinery and military factory's Osprey multi-role transport aircraft, international attention began to rise. Not long ago, Yan GUO unveiled a Chinook-like heavy-lift helicopter, the Z-20. Now, Yan GUO has unveiled a more sci-fi Osprey multi-role transport aircraft, surprising many countries. They couldn't help but wonder, how could Yan GUO's scientific research capabilities have suddenly improved so rapidly? It is well known that the speed of scientific research improvement is usually closely related to funding. Without huge financial support, it is almost impossible to achieve new breakthroughs. However, the fact that Yan country was able to launch two advanced aircraft products in a short period of time seems to be somewhat contrary to common sense. Does Yan country have any unique scientific research model or innovative ideas? Or is there an unknown secret hidden behind it? As a result, agents from various countries have begun to become active in Yan country. They want to find the source and uncover the mystery of Yan country. At this time, the Saudi country in the Camel region, like a shark smelling prey, could not wait to contact the 077 mechanical military factory. Although Abdul did not know whether the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft developed by Yan country came from Lin Chenran's military factory, his keen intuition told him that it must be closely related to Lin Chenran. Within Yan country, the military factory that can possess such strong R&D capabilities and produce advanced weapons and equipment must be Lin Chenran's. The reason why Lin Chenran can be so successful is inseparable from the sufficient financial support behind him. Even if the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft wasn't manufactured by Lin Chenran's military factory, Abdul was confident that asking him for a recommendation would yield the same result. Upon receiving Abdul's telegram, Lin Chenran replied without hesitation, "Come to Yan country, there's a surprise." Abdul's heart was overwhelmed by Lin Chenran's concise and clear response, and he excitedly exclaimed, "Deal." Abdul then immediately approached the Saudi officials in the Camel region, asking if they would consider purchasing a batch of Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. After reviewing Abdul's report, the Saudi officials in the Camel region unhesitatingly agreed to his request and decided to grant special approval for a substantial amount of funds to purchase the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft from Yan country. For the Saudis in the Camel region, this helicopter, combining a striking appearance, powerful performance, and a sci-fi aesthetic, was simply too attractive. They simply had to have it. Upon hearing the good news, Abdul's face lit up with a broad smile. Furthermore, he received another exciting promise from higher-ups. The Rapid Reaction Force Abdul led would be the first in the country to be equipped with the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. This news filled Abdul with excitement and further solidified his resolve to travel to Yan country to participate in negotiations for the Osprey's import. Abdul quickly arranged his tasks and then led a carefully selected delegation aboard a special plane, flying directly from Saudi Arabia in the Camel region to Yan country. Meanwhile, various countries began to receive intelligence reports of a new helicopter being developed in Yan country. It was incredibly cool and sci-fi. Mao Zedong, what's the point of a cool, sci-fi helicopter? On the battlefield, practicality is everything. Hansi, Yan country has such capabilities? A foldable tilt-rotor aircraft? Even the Eagles haven't developed one yet. Gyro Panji, this must be fake. They haven't even developed a Takumi yet, let alone Yan country. They won't be able to develop one in 100 years. This must be a smoker screen. Gaul, Yan country. They're just stealing technology. Han, we, similar, are the strongest in the universe. Although various countries expressed doubts about the fact that Yan country had developed a very sci-fi helicopter, they still sent very elite agents to investigate the situation. In particular, they wanted to obtain various data on the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, and it would be best if they could get all the design and development drawings. As soon as the delegation from the Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region got off the plane, they boarded their own fleet of Rolls-Royces and left the airport in Linjiang province, heading straight for the 077 Mechanical Arms Factory. They couldn't wait to see and feel the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft up close. Lin Chenran also received a notice from Abdul and others, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. He was in a good mood at this time. The big money bag of his own 077 Mechanical Arms Factory is coming. And the Yan country military also agreed to sell the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft as a military sale. The export version of the military sale will have some reduced configurations. Lin Chenran, along with several senior executives of the 077 Mechanical Arms Factory, waited in their own complex building for the arrival of the big money bag from the Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region. What? This is called licking? Then just treat it as licking. If Lin Chenran doesn't lick a big money bag that brings you huge benefits from time to time, when will he lick him? Soon, Lin Chenran saw a convoy slowly coming towards the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Abdul, my friend, welcome to our 077 Mechanical Arsenal again. After Abdul got off the car, Lin Chenran stepped forward and shook hands with him enthusiastically. Thank you, Lin. Abdul smiled slightly. He was very satisfied with Lin Chenran's arrangement. Every time he came, Lin Chenran would wait for him here. Abdul enjoyed this kind of respected behavior very much. Lin, I really didn't expect that the scientific research strength of your 077 Mechanical Arsenal is so strong. It is an honor for us in the Camel region Saudi Arabia to cooperate with you. Abdul felt that, since he met Lin Chenran, he and his country have become very lucky. Especially himself, he has reached a high position and has been appreciated by the senior officials of the Saudi Arabia in the Camel region. The most important thing is that he also has a rapid reaction force. Meanwhile, Shane Kerr, the Eagle Source regional officer in charge of the Camel region, received intelligence. What? Abdul led a delegation to Yan country. Upon receiving the intelligence, Shane Kerr pondered Abdul's purpose for going to Yan country. Soon, he immediately sent a telegram back home. A chapter is under review. It should be released soon. Chapter 155 Camel region Saudi Arabia. Your father is here again. The Camel region Saudis, led by Abdul, were planning a visit to Yan country. Anyone with a discerning eye could easily guess they were targeting Yan country's Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. Currently, only this Osprey in Yan country's possession was attractive enough to warrant a delegation from the Camel region Saudis. The fact that the Camel region Saudis were dispatching the pro-Yan country Abdul, however, is worthy of further investigation. The Camel region Saudis were attaching great importance to this visit, even going so far as to say they were determined to secure it. As a global hegemon, the United States naturally wouldn't sit idly by. They were paying close attention to the matter and quickly issued orders to Shane Kerr, who was far away in the Camel region. If the Camel region Sordus had indeed acquired the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft from Yan country, the United States must take immediate action. Specifically, they would dispatch elite agents to infiltrate the Camel region Sordus, steal first-hand information about the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft, and then repatriate it to the United States. Yan country had previously stolen the information on their Chinook heavy helicopters and copied the Z-20 heavy helicopters. Since Yan country had started it, they, the Eagle sources, must follow suit and show Yan country the whole ending. Give someone a taste of their own medicine. The Eagle source thought to himself, humph, this is all forced upon me by you, Yan country. At this time, Lin Chenran didn't know that the conspiracy was quietly approaching him. Even if he knew, Lin Chenran smiled slightly. Lin Chenran, this is Yan country, not a place where you can run wild. Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Lin Chenran led a group of representatives from the Camel region of the state of Shan into a spacious and bright conference room. He smiled and motioned for everyone to sit down, then clapped his hands lightly, and the staff of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal began to operate the projector. After a while, the screen lit up, showing an amazing image of an aircraft. This is the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Its appearance is stylish and unique, full of a sense of the future. Lin Chenran cleared his throat and proudly declared, "Thank you to the Saudi representatives from the Luochao region for your support of our company. Now, please allow me to introduce our latest product, the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. This aircraft was meticulously developed by a team led by renowned Chinese designer Mr. Yao Zicheng. Next, Chief Designer Yao Zicheng will provide a detailed introduction to the features and advantages of this aircraft." Yao Zicheng took the podium and began to demonstrate the Osprey's specifications and performance to the Saudi representatives from the Luochao region. His explanation was clear and concise, making it easy to understand. As the slides progressed, the Saudi representatives' eyes widened, their faces lit up with excitement. "Wow, this is truly spectacular," one representative exclaimed excitedly. Yao Zicheng smiled and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the Osprey is not only beautiful but also powerful. It can operate in complex terrain and harsh weather conditions, transporting large quantities of supplies and personnel. It also boasts high maneuverability and flexibility, enabling it to quickly respond to various mission requirements." Yao Zicheng then demonstrated the Osprey's internal structure and equipment configuration to the delegates. Pointing to images on the screen, he explained in detail, "This is the cockpit, featuring the most advanced avionics system. This is the cargo hold, which can be flexibly adjusted to suit needs. And this is the weapons system, capable of carrying a variety of weapons to counter various threats." The Saudi representatives from the Camel region listened with rapt attention, frequently raising questions, which Yao Zicheng answered one by one. The atmosphere in the conference room was lively, filled with admiration and anticipation for the Osprey. Finally, Yao Zicheng smiled and said, "In summary, the Osprey is a world-leading helicopter and the world's first foldable tilt-rotor aircraft." The Saudi representatives from the Camel region exchanged glances and expressed their strong interest in the Osprey. This was their dream plane. The Osprey's imposing presence, especially after it unfolded, captivated them. They couldn't take their eyes off it. A voice within them whispered, "Buy it. Buy it. Just buy it." Abdul's face beamed with a brilliant smile. He leaned in close to Lin Chenran and whispered, "Lin, when can we see the Osprey up close?" Lin Chenran, secretly delighted, remained composed. He thought to himself, agreed. This tycoon has finally taken the bait. Then, smiling, he replied, "Abdul, be patient. We are heading to the test site, where you can get a close-up look at the Osprey." Lin Chenran continued, "We've also arranged a test flight for the Osprey. If all goes well, you can experience it for yourself." After a period of meticulous testing, the Osprey's performance indicators were performing flawlessly, with virtually no issues. Therefore, now was the perfect time to conduct passenger and cargo tests. This time, a Saudi delegation from the Camel region happened to be visiting, so they decided to take the opportunity to demonstrate the Osprey's exceptional capabilities. Upon hearing this, Abdul's eyes widened in disbelief. He asked in surprise, "Let us fly? Really?" He seemed completely shocked by the news. Lin Chenran nodded, a glint of confidence in his eyes. He then added, "Yes, I'll be with you aboard the Osprey and experience its charm with you." To reassure Abdul, Lin Chenran readily announced his intention to board the Osprey. Abdul's doubts instantly dissipated, and he was filled with anticipation for the Osprey. Abdul readily agreed, a satisfied smile on his face. If Lin Chenran dared to board the Osprey, it proved to be flawless. He would never have boarded if there were any hidden dangers or malfunctions. Abdul's heart was immediately reassured when Lin Chenran expressed his willingness to join them on the Osprey. Abdul said excitedly, "No problem, Lin. I'll board the Osprey with you and experience the magic of flying." The Saudi representatives from the Camel region nearby looked worried and tried to intervene, but Abdul gave them a stern look. Abdul understood that this was a rare opportunity. If he missed it, it would be lost for good. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156 Total Value $4.5 billion. After Abdul led a delegation to Yan, a debate arose within the United States. Should the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft be imported from Yan? This proposal garnered support not only from several high-ranking officials, but also from many others. Why did this suggestion arise? There were two main reasons. First, the United States urgently needed a multi-role transport aircraft to replace the aging C-2A Greyhound carrier-based transport aircraft. Of course, the C-2A Greyhound is not old. After all, deliveries began in 1964, less than 20 years ago. However, the United States felt that the C-2A Greyhound was not adaptable to the latest aircraft carrier requirements. New equipment was urgently needed to fill the gap left by the C-2A Greyhound. Second, the United States intended to steal the technology from this aircraft to accelerate the development of its own foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. In reality, their primary goal was to steal technology. Not everyone supported this proposal. There were also some objections. If word got out that the United States, the world's leading superpower, was actually purchasing weapons and equipment from another country, it would undoubtedly be met with merciless ridicule. This was especially true from the United States' mortal enemy Russia. However, Boeing and Bell Helicopter remained resolute, believing that acquiring the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft would significantly accelerate their own development of a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. To this end, they spared no expense, using their financial resources and connections to persuade those who opposed the proposal. Ultimately, they succeeded in changing the United States' position, convincing it to purchase the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft from Yan. Gary Aurelio, Sorrel Connors, and the entire foldable tilt-rotor team were adamantly opposed to the proposal. They believed their research had achieved a major breakthrough, and that the development of a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft was only a matter of time. However, executives at Boeing and Bell Helicopter were dissatisfied with their progress, believing it was too slow. Faced with this situation, the top management of both companies decided to take extraordinary measures to accelerate the development process. At the same time, top officials in the United States issued a warning, stating that they could import Osprey multi-role transport aircraft from Yan, but the move must be done in secrecy, absolutely without Russian notice. At least, it would be acceptable on the surface. When Yan officials learned that the United States wanted to acquire the Ospreys from them, they were initially bewildered, then incredulous. The United States has always been a global military power. Why would they suddenly consider importing weapons and equipment from Yan? This was a rare occurrence. The last time the United States acquired equipment from Yan was in 1982, when they acquired the J-7 fighter jet, a copy of the Mi-21. There were also two voices within Yan officials. One was to reject the United States' request to purchase the Ospreys. Now, the United States wanted to acquire the Ospreys from them. Their intentions were obvious. The Osprey's foldable technology was the reason. Their motives were ulterior. Another voice was to sell the Ospreys to the United States and profit handsomely. Both sides had their own reasons. especially now that Yan's foreign exchange reserves are extremely scarce. Collaborating with the Eagles and earning a significant amount of foreign exchange would significantly alleviate this pressure. Ultimately, the decision was made by the top leadership. The decision on whether to sell to the Eagles would be handed over to the 077 machinery and military factory. Some Yan's top brass began to have their eye on things. At this point, Lin Chenran had no idea that the Eagles were actually considering importing their own Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Lin Chenran was bringing his big money sponsor to the test site to get a close-up look at and ride the domestically developed Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Abdul, my friend, how do you feel? Lin Chenran and the others were already aboard the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. He directly asked his big money sponsor what he thought. Cool. Lin, the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft is very stable and has excellent performance, Abdul said with a faint smile. Initially, he was quite worried. Folding technology was unique to Yan, and he worried about whether there would be any problems once the aircraft took to the air. But once it took off and transitioned to parallel flight, he felt his worries were unnecessary. The flight was very quick, and it was over in just over 10 minutes. Abdul and the other Saudi representatives from the Camel region looked as if they were still not satisfied. Abdul's desire to buy the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft had reached its peak. The Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft must be imported back to the country. When Lin Chenran saw the smiles on the faces of the Saudi representatives from the Camel region, he knew that the deal was done. After observing, playing with, and riding the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft up close, everyone returned to the conference room of the 077 Mechanical Military Factory. The next step was to discuss the price of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Abdul, I'm sorry, the technology and production line of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft cannot be sold. We at the 077 Mechanical Military Factory can only sell finished aircraft. Lin Chenran directly rejected Abdul's request. It turned out that Abdul wanted to bring all the technology and production lines of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft back to the country. But this was really impossible. Lin, we came here with sincerity. Abdul wanted to insist. Abdul, this is not something we, the 077 machinery arsenal, can decide. If the entire set of technology is brought back to the Saudi Arabian kingdom in the Camel region, the cost will be sky high. Therefore, Lin Chenran does not recommend that the Saudi Arabian kingdom in the Camel region introduce the entire set of technology and production lines for the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft to their country. Especially the technology of the Z-20 heavy helicopter. The Saudi Arabian kingdom in the Camel region has not yet fully mastered it, and now they want to introduce another more complex Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Since the Yan country is unwilling to sell the entire set of technology and production lines for the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, although Abdul is disappointed, he no longer forces it. The main reason is that Lin Chenran is right, the price is too high, and the Saudi Arabian kingdom in the Camel region has not yet fully digested the previous Z-20 heavy helicopter technology. It would be useless to introduce another set of helicopter technology back. Then Abdul asked about the price of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. $21 million per aircraft. Lin Chenran directly revealed the price of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. $21 million? This price was within Abdul's expectations, primarily because the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft is the world's only foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. Its high price was justified. The two parties quickly signed a contract, and Saudi Arabia purchased 20 Osprey multi-role transport aircraft from the 077 machinery and military factory in the Camel region. Chapter 157. Eagle Source wants to buy Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Then let him cut meat. The main reason was the inability to import the technology and production lines for the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft, leading Saudi Arabia to purchase only 20 aircraft in the Camel region. Including various after-sales services, the 077 machinery and military factory secured a $450 million order from Saudi Arabia in the Camel region. While this was smaller than the previous order for the Z-20 heavy lift helicopter, everyone at the 077 Machinery and Military Factory was very satisfied. Abdul, thank you for your continued support of our 077 Machinery and Military Factory. After signing the contract, Lin Chenran smiled and extended his hand to shake Abdul's. Lin, it's true that your 077 Machinery and Military Factory's weapons and equipment are excellent. Otherwise, we wouldn't be placing orders with them so consistently. Abdul then jokingly said, now, we in Saudi Arabia don't even want to purchase weapons and equipment from other countries. Laughter erupted in the conference room. Abdul, with the rapid development of our 077 Machinery and Military Factory, you may not even need to source weapons and equipment from other countries in the future. A combined equipment brigade. This is a new trend. Direct and clear arrangements for customers. After signing the contract, Abdul and other representatives from the Saudi Arabian Kingdom in the Camel region prepared to leave the 077 mechanical arsenal. They did not return directly to their country. Since they had come to Yan country, Abdul and others must build relationships with the Yan country's top leaders and see if they should pay party dues appropriately. Lin Chenran watched the convoy of the Saudi Arabian delegation from the Camel region slowly drive away from the 077 mechanical arsenal. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. Then he turned and left the complex building and walked back to his office. As soon as he entered the door, he saw his assistant Zhao Liang, who looked hurried. Zhao Liang seemed a little flustered and accidentally bumped into Lin Chenran. Director, I'm sorry, Zhao Liang said while apologizing repeatedly. Lin Chenran smiled slightly, patted Zhao Liang on the shoulder, and asked calmly, Zhao Liang, what's the matter with you being so flustered? Zhao Liang took a deep breath, tried to calm himself down, and said, Director, the phone in the office just rang. Oh, who called? Lin Chenran asked curiously. It's Mr. Wei calling. Zhao Liang answered with a heavy breath. Lin Chenran's heart skipped a beat and his body trembled involuntarily. He muttered to himself, he's not going to say congratulations and get rich to me again, is he? Every time Mr. Wei said congratulations and get rich, Lin Chenran would be harvested. Over time, he has formed a conditioned reflex. As long as he heard this sentence, he knew he might bleed heavily again. But he had to answer the phone. Lin Chenran returned to the office and slowly picked up the phone on the desk and called back. Soon, the call was connected, and a hearty laugh came from the receiver. Lin boy, I thought you didn't dare to call me back. Mr. Wei directly blocked Lin Chenran's back road as soon as he opened his mouth. Lin Chenran quickly explained, how could that be? Nothing serious is happening here, I dare not disturb you. However, Elder Wei on the other end of the line clearly didn't believe Lin Chenran. He shrugged and said calmly, oh, do you think I believe you? Beads of sweat formed on Lin Chenran's forehead. Huh. Of course you have to believe me. After some banter, Elder Wei cut short his idle chatter and got straight to the point, stating his purpose. Lin Chenran's face was immediately filled with astonishment. He exclaimed in disbelief, what? The Eagle Source is actually purchasing our Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft? How is that even possible? Impossible. They're so proud. How could they stoop so low as to buy our weapons and equipment? The Eagle Source has always been one of the world's military powers, rarely purchasing weapons and equipment from other countries. Although the Eagle Source had previously purchased only one weapon from Yan country, a J-7 fighter jet, a replica of the Mi-21 fighter. That purchase wasn't made out of genuine desire, but rather as a chance to learn about the Mi-21's capabilities. Now, the Eagle Source had actually taken the initiative to put aside its pride and request arms sales and purchases from Yan country, which surprised Lin Chenran greatly. Elder Wei also had a wry smile on his face. He hadn't expected this either. After all, a military power like the Eagle Source has always maintained a condescending attitude. However, the previous J-7 fighter jet purchase was just an accident, as the Eagle Source was solely focused on studying how to counter Russia's Mi-21 fighter jet, hence the purchase. But this time, the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft was completely different. This advanced aircraft, independently developed by Yan country, possessed unique technology and advantages. Elder Wei cautiously inquired, do you think we should sell the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft to the Eagle Source? In fact, Elder Welly supported the sale of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft to the Eagle Source. He wanted to make a profit from the Eagle Source. There was no other choice, as the Eagle Source readily agreed to import 20 Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Of course, the Yan country's top brass wanted to strike a bargain with the Eagle Source. Yan country would provide the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, while the Eagle Source would provide various equipment and facilities. Lin Chenran instantly fell into deep thought. The benefits of this deal for Yan country were simply too great. Furthermore, Yan country held the initiative this time. As for the possibility of the Osprey's multi-role transport aircraft's technology being leaked, Lin Chenran wasn't worried at all, even if it was the Americans who wanted to steal it. He was simply that confident. He fell into deep thought because he wanted the 077 mechanical arsenal to reap the greatest benefits from this deal. Mr. Welly, the Osprey can be sold to the Americans. Lin Chenran awakened from his reverie and replied immediately. Is there a risk of technology leaking? Although Mr. Welly supported the sale of the Osprey to the Americans, he feared it would leak out and be replicated 1-to-1 by the Americans. Some technologies can be replicated, but the core technology is extremely difficult for the Americans to replicate, Lin Chenran said confidently. Even if the other party was the Americans, a world military power, to easily replicate the Osprey's multi-role transport aircraft's technology, that would be harder than climbing to the sky. Lin Chenran would then implement various anti-counterfeiting measures on the exported Ospreys. It's enough for the Eagle Source to drink a pot. When Old Welly heard this, the big stone in his heart slowly fell. What's the price? Since the core technology cannot be replicated, Old Welly instantly became cheerful and asked about the price of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. $21 million apiece. Lin Chenran readily revealed a price. What? $21 million? So expensive? Old Welly did not expect Lin Chenran to reveal such an expensive price. Old Welly, the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region, just bought the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft from me at this price. Lin Chenran said very calmly. What? A rich man is a rich man. Chapter 158 Eagle Source. I want to inspect the goods. Since the Eagle Source wants to buy the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft from the 077 mechanical arsenal, then they must pay a price and can't let them succeed easily. At least 50 Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft are required to start with, and they must not be given a bargain. Huh. Not bad. You have the potential to be a profiteer, Wayleo said with a smile. In fact, the Eagle Source will definitely not buy so many, at most about 20. But Lin Chenran didn't care about these. Let's negotiate as much as we can. Anyway, the export price of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft is $21 million. Lin Chenran once again emphasized the price of the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. He didn't want his product to be sold at a low price. Wayleo joked, why don't you come and talk to them? In fact, he didn't know for sure $21 million for an Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. This price is too expensive. He even worried that the Eagle Source representative would turn around and leave after hearing the price. Lin Chenran took over directly and said with a smile, no problem, I can go talk to the representative of the Eagle Source. Lin Chenran was not very reassured about other people talking to the Eagle Source. He thought about talking to the Eagle Source himself. After thinking for a moment, Wayleo agreed directly. Okay, I will inform you when the time comes. The next issue is the distribution of interests between the two parties. Wayleo fights for the interests of the Yan state military. Lin Chenran fights for the interests of his own 077 machinery arsenal. No one wants to miss this grand feast, especially since the Eagle Source is at the top of the world in the heavy industry and military industry. After 15 minutes of heated debate, Lin Chenran and Wayleo reached a preliminary agreement. The distribution of interests has also been rationalized. Before hanging up, Elder Welly warned Lin Chenran, Lin, you can't mess this up. This is the second time we've profited from the Eagle Source. Lin Chenran gave a wry smile, thinking to himself, Elder Welly, you have to distinguish between the big and small. This time, the Eagle Source is purchasing the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft from our 077 machinery arsenal. Elder Welly, thrilled by Lin Chenran's positive response, immediately arranged to contact the Eagle Source representative. He broke the good news. Our Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft is for sale. Cue the rabbit in the rabbit tone. He said negotiations could resume in 3 days. The Eagle Source representative, however, wanted to see the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, ideally a test flight. He wanted to inspect the goods. Elder Wei frowned at this, but he still called Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran agreed without hesitation. No problem, but we'll need to borrow a military base for the test flight. He did this primarily to ensure the safety of his 077 machinery arsenal. Elder Wei pondered the idea for a moment, convinced it was feasible, and agreed. Over the next few days, the Yan Kingdom team diligently prepared for the test flight. 3 days later, on a bright, breezy morning, Elder Wei led Fisher Pass and other staff to a Yan Kingdom military base. The area was heavily guarded, surrounded by tall walls and barbed wire, and numerous soldiers patrolling. Fisher Pass and the others exited the vehicle and were ushered into a conference room for a brief introduction. Soon, the time for the test flight arrived, and everyone headed for the tarmac. Parked on the tarmac was a massive Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Its exterior was strikingly impressive. Its sleek lines and black paintwork imbued it with a mysterious and majestic airframe. Fisher Pass approached the aircraft and examined it closely. He circled it, occasionally stroking the fuselage with his hand, a look of wonder in his eyes. Then, the pilot boarded the aircraft, started the engines, and with a roar, the aircraft slowly rose and accelerated into the blue sky. Fisher Pass stood on the tarmac, gazing up at the aircraft in the sky, his face lit with excitement. He said to Elder Wei beside him, "This is truly astonishing." Elder Wei smiled and said, "Foldable technology is currently only available in Yan country." Fisher Pass thought to himself, "Once we import your Osprey, we Americans will have foldable aircraft too. Just wait and see." For the next few hours, the Osprey performed various flight demonstrations, including circling, diving, and climbing, showcasing its exceptional performance. Finally, the aircraft landed smoothly on the tarmac, a complete success. Fisher Pass and the other American representatives were delighted with the Osprey's test flight. The next stage of the negotiations was the main event. Both parties arrived at the conference room. Fisher Pass first inquired about the price of the Osprey. Lin Chenran's lips curled slightly as he revealed the price of the Osprey, $21 million US. Fisher Pass and the other representatives of the Eagle Source were instantly surprised upon hearing this. This is too expensive. They've always been the ones to reap the benefits of others, and now Yan country actually wants to use the Osprey to reap them? Who gave you the courage? Lin, why is the Osprey so expensive? Fisher Pass said seriously. Mr. Fisher, the Osprey is the world's first foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. The technology it contains is in a class of its own. If it weren't so advanced, would you Eagle Sources have imported it? Lin Chenran smiled slightly and retorted directly. But it can't be that expensive, right? Fisher Pass clearly sensed that Yan country wanted to take advantage of them. Just like the previous purchase of the J-7 fighter jet. Mr. Fisher, you're getting anxious again. Don't worry. Our pricing is very reasonable. The Sudus and the Camel region are already in talks with us. They are very interested in our Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. Lin Chenran said calmly. What? Fisher Pass knew the Sudus and the Camel region were very interested in the Osprey. The fact that the Sudus and the Camel region had sent a delegation to Yan country spoke volumes. They were truly wealthy, with such abundant funds. Lin, your pricing is too high. We can't afford it. Fisher Pass took a deep breath and sighed. No, Mr. Fisher, this is the best price we can offer. We've invested over $5 billion in research and development. Of course, if you purchase in large quantities, we can lower the price a little. Lin Chenran was certain the Eagles would purchase the Osprey multi-role transport aircraft. If they didn't, it would take at least 4 or 5 years for the Eagles to develop a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft, and they couldn't wait. The main reason is that the old C-2A Greyhound carrier-based transport aircraft in the hands of the Americans cannot keep up with the needs of the Americans. Chapter 159. Cooperation reached. Mao Zedong, Brother Eagle Source, you have fallen. Lin Chenran continued, Fisher, if you purchase 2 squadrons at once, we can offer you a price of $2,000 per aircraft, saving $50 million straight away. Fisher Pass was taken aback by Lin Chenran's words. Purchasing 2 squadrons of Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft? That would basically be enough to meet the needs of the Eagle Source Navy. No, that's too many. We don't need to buy that many. Fisher Pass refused repeatedly. If they really agreed to 50 Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, Fisher Pass might be directly dealt with by the black hands of Boeing and Bell Helicopter when he returned to the Eagle Source. Because by importing Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft from Yan country, there would be no need to purchase new helicopters from Boeing and Bell Helicopter. Fisher, I don't need to tell you why you Eagle Source want to import our Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. You know it in your heart. Lin Chenran smiled, a confident expression on his face, as if everything was under control. The Eagle's desire to import Yan's Osprey multi-role transport aircraft was precisely to steal the technology and then replicate it. Sima Zhao's intentions were obvious to everyone. The initiative now rested with Yan. If the Eagles wanted to purchase the Ospreys, they would have to accept Yan's demands. Fisher Pass blushed slightly, then recovered and said slowly, Lin, I can't make this decision. Fisher Pass needed to report back home. No problem. We have an old saying in Yan, even if the deal doesn't go through, the friendship remains. You can go back and think it over. If you Eagles want to purchase the Ospreys, you must start with 2 squadrons. All other negotiations will be based on that. The two sides parted ways unhappily. The Eagle representatives, led by Fisher Pass, left the meeting room. Lin Chenran and the others continued their meeting. Elder Wendy, standing nearby, began to speak. He was a little worried. No, it was probably all the Yan military brass present who were worried. They were afraid that the Eagles wouldn't purchase the Ospreys. Everything discussed so far was a passing cloud. Lin Chenran, looking at everyone's faces, said confidently, leaders, rest assured, the Americans will not give up negotiations with us easily. As Lin Chenran had suspected, the Americans were unwilling to terminate their negotiations with Yan. They urgently needed foldable tilt-rotor aircraft technology. However, the American leadership, or rather, Boeing and Bell Helicopter, were dissatisfied with the price and the quantity to be purchased. Dissatisfaction notwithstanding, the two sides engaged in another round of arguments. Ultimately, the Americans offered to sell some of their technology and production lines cheaply, forcing Yan to relent. Finally, an agreement was reached. The Americans would import 30 Osprey multi-role transport aircraft from Yan for $20 million each. Half the payment would be for the technology and production equipment, and the other half would be in US dollars. Although neither party publicly announced the news of the Americans' purchase of Osprey multi-role transport aircraft from Yan, agents in various countries received the news and reported it back to their respective countries, sparking discussion in various countries. Mao Zedong, has the Eagle Source fallen so low? They want to purchase arms from Yan country? Gyro-Panji country, how is that possible? Why would our father purchase weapons and equipment from Yan country? It must be fake news. Han country, instead of purchasing weapons and equipment from Yan country, it's better to purchase ours. Does Yan country have advanced weapons and equipment? The Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft is foldable? That's just a gimmick. Great Han country is the best in the universe. Han's country, even the Eagle Source wants to purchase the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, so there must be a feasibility. It's just a foldable tilt-rotor aircraft. Go ahead. John country, the Eagle Source has lost all his face? They purchased weapons and equipment from Yan country. They had ample reasons to fool people by purchasing J-7 fighter jets last time, but what about now? The reactions of different countries are different. Some countries that want to purchase helicopters sent their own delegations to visit Yan country, hoping to purchase the Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft. Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. At this time, Lin Chenran was handling various matters in the factory. Although Lin Chenran delegated some of his power, there were still important matters that needed his attention. Although Lin Chenran has delegated some of his power to other people, he is still busy handling various affairs in the factory. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Come in. Lin Chenran said without raising his head. He was concentrating on looking at the documents on the table, frowning slightly, as if thinking about something important. The door was gently pushed open, and a figure walked in slowly. "Chenran, are you still busy?" Lin Chenran heard the familiar voice, and then raised his head with a smile on his face. "Mr. Song, why are you here?" He immediately put down the work in his hands, stood up, and walked quickly to the door to greet him. Song Xian walked into the office with a smile, his eyes sweeping around the surrounding environment. Lin Chenran asked Song Xian to sit in the sofa area, and asked his assistant Xiao Liang to bring each of them a cup of hot tea. The two sat on the comfortable sofa, and began to chat. "How are you doing recently?" Song Xian asked with concern. Lin Chenran replied with a smile, "Everything is fine, but I'm a little too busy." After chatting for a while, Song Xian finally stated the purpose of his visit. "The Great Wood Kingdom contacted me privately, hoping to purchase another batch of new weapons and equipment from us," Song Xian said slowly, his eyes glittering with complexity. "What?" Lin Chenran was startled, his eyes widening. "The Great Wood Kingdom wants to purchase new weapons and equipment? Don't they already have them?" Lin Chenran asked, puzzled. By this time, the Great Wood Kingdom had successfully driven the Lion Kingdom from its territory, and fierce fighting was raging between the two sides along the border. The Lion Kingdom was clearly at a disadvantage in this war. Without the massive military and economic aid provided by Western countries, led by the United States, the Lion Kingdom would have been defeated by the Great Wood Kingdom long ago. These Western countries provided the Lion Kingdom with advanced weapons and equipment, intelligence support, and other resources, enabling the Lion Kingdom to maintain its resistance. Song Xian couldn't help but smile helplessly. It's mainly the international aid from Western countries that has enabled the Lion Kingdom to obtain a steady supply of weapons and equipment. Although the Great Wood Kingdom had gained a certain advantage on the battlefield, a complete defeat of the Lion Kingdom would not be easy. The Lion Kingdom had the powerful support of Western forces, which further complicated the war. So, Damu country wanted to obtain a batch of weapons and equipment from the 077 mechanical arsenal. "Mr. Song, what kind of weapons and equipment does Damu country want?" Previously, the 077 mechanical arsenal only provided Damu country with heavy mortars and simplified Katasha rocket launchers. Chapter 160 Shadowmu secretly sent people to Yan country. At this time, the Damu kingdom was still under blockade, and it was almost impossible for it to obtain weapons and equipment. Even for the previous civilian version of weapons and equipment, the Eagle Source just turned a blind eye. If they really provide finished weapons and equipment to the Damu kingdom, I'm afraid they will be greeted with severe sanctions from the Eagle Source. Only civilian versions of weapons and equipment can be introduced to the Damu kingdom. At this moment, Lin Chenran fell into deep thought. What he wanted to know most was what kind of weapons and equipment the Damu kingdom needed, and what kind of weapons and equipment he could make for the Damu kingdom. At this moment, Song Xian bluntly stated the specific needs of the Damu kingdom for weapons and equipment: tanks, planes, and missiles. Hearing this, Lin Chenran was completely stunned. Are these the equipment that your Damu kingdom can afford? Tanks are easy to say, but what about planes? He really can't do anything. How could the Eagle Source not notice such a big plane? As for tanks, they can be modified with modified civilian engineering vehicles. The modified civilian engineering vehicles of the 077 mechanical military factory are modified from tanks. Lin Chenran also heard that Damu country had seized a batch of modified civilian engineering vehicles manufactured by the 077 mechanical military factory from the Lion country. This could be put to immediate use. The 077 mechanical military factory could provide Damu country with the turrets it needed, or it could provide Damu country with relevant technology. After all, there were many scrap tanks on the battlefield. Useful turrets could be dismantled and reused. As for missiles, Lin Chenran could design a simple missile for Damu country. As for aircraft, Lin Chenran was powerless, but he could design a drone. The excuse for Damu country to introduce them could be for pest control, sowing, etc. Lin Chenran told Song Xian about his ideas. Song Xian's eyes shone with gold when he heard this. These are good ideas. They can all be carried out. Among them, drones and simple missiles need to be developed urgently. For the 077 Mechanical Military Factory, it is very simple. Especially the simple missiles, which can be produced in less than a week. After all, the 077 Mechanical Military Factory developed the Shiansu automatic tracking rocket launcher. A simple version of the missile is easy to come by. In the blink of an eye, a week had passed. Lin Chenran had previously tasked the factories to top teams with developing drones and simple missiles, all of which had already been completed. Immediately afterwards, Song Xian contacted Daniel Harper, who was far away in the Damu Kingdom in the Camel region, and sent him a telegram. Damu Kingdom in the Camel region, ding ding ding. In a gorgeous villa in the capital of Damu Kingdom, a rapid telephone ring rang out. A tall man in a suit picked up the phone. Hello. Mr. Harper, there's a telegram for you. Okay, I'll send it in right away. After Daniel Harper hung up the phone, someone knocked on the door and walked in, handing him a telegram. Daniel Harper opened the telegram and took a look. A hint of surprise instantly appeared on his worried face. The telegram was from Song Xian in the Yan Kingdom. It contained only a simple sentence. Mr. Harper, come to the Yan Kingdom as soon as possible. There's a surprise. A surprise? A glimmer of anticipation flashed in Daniel Harper's eyes. Ever since the war between the Great Wood Kingdom and the Lion Kingdom began, Harper has been responsible for coordinating cooperation with the Yan Kingdom. Previously, the Great Wood Kingdom, relying on heavy mortars from the Yan Kingdom's 077 mechanical arsenal and simplified Katasha rocket launchers, successfully drove the invading Lion Kingdom from its territory. They had originally hoped to press on, defeating the Lion Kingdom once and for all, and ending the war once and for all. However, Western countries, led by the United States, suddenly increased their support for the Lion Kingdom, turning the previously clear situation into a state of uncertainty. From their initial defeat, the Lion Kingdom gradually became evenly matched, even showing signs of a counterattack. Faced with this situation, Harper felt helpless. But now, Song Xian's telegram offered him a glimmer of hope. What exactly was this so-called surprise? Could it be that the Yan Kingdom had developed new weapons? Thinking of this, Harper immediately put down the telegram and dialed a number. Daniel Harper was reporting to the Great Wood Kingdom's higher-ups in the Camel region. Daniel Harper had received permission from the higher-ups to make a secret trip to the Yan Kingdom. After Daniel Harper hung up the phone, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, and his heart was full of anticipation. That mysterious surprise might become a turning point for Damu country. At the same time, Song Xian also received a telegram from Daniel Harper, saying that he would come to Yan country within a week. He then reported the situation to Lin Chenran. Daniel Harper secretly came to Yan country by plane with several followers. After the representatives of the 077 mechanical arsenal went to Linjiang airport to pick up Daniel Harper, they left quickly without staying for long. Daniel Harper is more sensitive abroad. If the country headed by the Eagle Source knew that he came to Yan country, it might cause a bloody storm. Soon, Daniel Harper and other representatives of Damu country came to the 077 mechanical arsenal and were warmly received by Lin Chenran and others. Mr. Harper, welcome to Yan country again, and to our military factory. Your arrival has brought honor to our factory. Lin Chenran flattered him, which made Daniel Harper and others very happy. Daniel Harper and other representatives of the Great Wood country have never been taken so seriously by the leaders of other countries. Lin Chenran, after all, the Great Wood country is also a major sponsor of our 077 mechanical arsenal. It won't lose anything by saying a few polite words. Lin, thank you. Without your heavy weapons and equipment, we would not be able to drive away the invaders. Daniel Harper was very excited and thanked Lin Chenran repeatedly. Mr. Harper, it is what we should do. We also hate the invaders very much. Lin Chenran shared the same hatred for the enemy, as if the enemies of the Great Wood country were his enemies. Daniel Harper showed a satisfied smile. This is the best partner. Then, Lin Chenran brought Daniel Harper and other representatives of the Great Wood country in the Camel region to the conference room. After everyone arrived at the conference room, the meeting officially began. Lin Chenran asked directly, Mr. Dan Harper, what do you think of the two weapons and equipment of our 077 mechanical arsenal? Daniel Harper, Lin, very good. These two weapons and equipment seem to be made for our country. This time, we were able to drive the Lion country out of our country, and these two weapons and equipment have made an indelible contribution. After Daniel Harper praised the two weapons and equipment, he also wanted to ask the 077 mechanical arsenal to help optimize them. Although the weapons and equipment are very powerful, there are still some problems. The senior management of the 077 mechanical arsenal, headed by Lin Chenran, began to record the problems. The update is late today. Sorry, everyone. Today, Zion worked from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening without stopping. Thank you for your support. Collection plus rating. Chapter 161 Black Bad Drone. After the issues with the two weapons were noted, the meeting's main event began. Lin Chenran first had the Shiansu automatic tracking rocket launcher team introduce the simple missile to Daniel Harper and the others. While simple, this simple missile packs immense power, making it a surefire weapon in war. Its guidance allows for precise strikes, significantly increasing its lethality on the battlefield. More importantly, it can be launched from a simplified version of the Katyusha rocket launcher. This eliminates the need for new launch equipment, reducing costs and operational complexity. It also has the ability to pursue enemy aircraft, making it a versatile and effective weapon. Designers from the 077 mechanical arsenal detailed the missile's features and advantages, while the eyes of the Damu Nation representatives below shone brightly. They understood the significance of this missile for their country. It could significantly enhance the combat effectiveness of the Damu Nation's military. It was exactly what they needed. They were filled with anticipation for the 077 mechanical arsenal, and the results certainly didn't disappoint. After the engineers of the Shiansu automatic tracking rocket launcher team finished introducing this guided missile, it was the turn of the UAV design and development team to begin explaining the UAV they designed and developed. Daniel Harper and other representatives widened their eyes and looked at the demonstration screen with anticipation. This was the first time they had seen such advanced weapons and equipment, and they couldn't help but feel excited. UAV? Daniel Harper asked in surprise. His eyes were fixed on the UAV model displayed on the screen. He had never imagined that there would be such an aircraft that could achieve autonomous flight and have powerful attack capabilities. Lin Chenran smiled and explained to Daniel Harper and others, "We can't sell normal fighter jets to your Damu country. You know the reason better than me. Damu country has strict restrictions on weapons due to its position on the international political stage and its relations with other countries." However, Lin Chenran went on to say, although this drone is defined as a civilian version, it actually has huge potential. As long as it is equipped with suitable weapons and missiles, it can become a deadly weapon of war. Civilian and military use are the same. There is actually not much difference between the two. The key lies in how to use its functions. Lin Chenran continued to emphasize, no matter whether the cat is black or white, a cat that can catch mice is a good cat. Whether this drone is a civilian version or a military version, as long as it can play a role on the battlefield and eliminate the enemy, it is an excellent weapon. Daniel Harper nodded in deep agreement, fully agreeing with Lin Chenran's thoughts. There are no absolute boundaries for weapons. What matters is whether they meet practical needs and achieve victory. The Blackbird drone, introduced by the Great Wood Kingdom, will be the sharpest weapon in the hands of its opponents. Previously, the two heavy weaponry provided by the 077 mechanical arsenal were similarly equipped. Although they may appear simple, even crude, they are as effective on the battlefield as other regular weaponry. Even these simple weapons and equipment can help the Great Wood Kingdom successfully drive the enemy from its territory. The Blackbird drone's designer elaborated on the design principles behind the drone and detailed its exceptional performance parameters. The Great Wood Kingdom representatives' eyes widened. They had never imagined that the Yan Kingdom's 077 mechanical arsenal would meticulously prepare such an advanced drone for them. This was truly amazing. After a fascinating half-hour presentation, the attendees had a clearer understanding of the 077 mechanical arsenal's Blackbird drone. This drone undoubtedly perfectly suited the needs of the Damu Kingdom. Lin, when will this Blackbird drone be ready? Daniel Harper stared intently at the model before him, his heart brimming with anticipation and excitement. He could already see his own army, equipped with this advanced weapon system, unstoppable on the battlefield, driving the enemy back. Lin Chenran smiled and replied, "Mr. Harper, if funding is sufficient, the Blackbird drone could be manufactured in about 3 to 6 months." His voice radiated confidence, as if he was absolutely certain of completing the Blackbird development project. Daniel Harper's eyes flashed with surprise at this answer, but more than that, he was filled with ecstasy. He had originally expected this high-tech weapon to take longer to develop, but he hadn't expected it to be completed in just a few months. This impressed him with the capabilities of the 077 mechanical arsenal. However, Daniel Harper wasn't overwhelmed by his excitement. "Lin, if your military factory can develop the Blackbird drone, we can place an initial order for 150 units. Daniel Harper gritted his teeth and gave an attractive order quantity. Lin Chenran was slightly stunned, obviously not expecting Daniel Harper to place an order so generously. But Daniel Harper's tone changed, his brows furrowed, and he said with great embarrassment, "Lin, you also know that we are now fighting with the Lion Country, and the funds on hand are not so abundant." He shook his head helplessly, seeming to be extremely distressed by the current situation. "We hope to use resources to purchase weapons and equipment," Daniel Harper continued, with a glimmer of expectation in his eyes. "Due to the constraints of Western countries headed by the United States, and the frequent large and small-scale wars with neighboring countries, the economic situation in Damu has fallen into trouble. Damu country has been in a tense situation, and has continuously invested a lot of resources in military operations, which has seriously hindered the country's economic development. Damu country has huge oil resources under the ground. Because it has been in a stage of war, this huge amount of oil cannot be mined, let alone sold." Lin Chenran was quite happy to hear that Daniel Harper wanted to settle with oil. Yan country has always been an importer of crude oil. With the reform and opening up, the demand for oil has increased year by year. It is beneficial for the 077 mechanical arsenal to be able to catch up with the source of oil. "No problem, Mr. Harper, we are all friends, and we should help each other." Lin Chenran smiled slightly, and agreed to what Daniel Harper said about settling the bill with oil. Daniel Harper was secretly relieved when he saw this. He thought Lin Chenran would not agree. Review 1 chapter, you can watch it later. Chapter 162 Only Eternal Interests. Even if the 077 mechanical arsenal doesn't directly participate in the extraction of oil from the Damu Kingdom, they could still potentially collaborate with Yan Kingdom officials. This cooperative model would provide a one-stop service, covering the entire process from extraction to sales. The 077 mechanical arsenal would receive a share of the profits. Lin Chenran was quite willing to accept this approach. Easily earning wealth is far more satisfying than earning it through hard work. Most importantly, the power of a company pales in comparison to that of a nation. Yan Kingdom is, after all, one of the world's 5 great benefactors. While the 077 mechanical arsenal is the largest, it's still just a military factory. If Damu Kingdom defaults, even with national intervention, they wouldn't dare renege. Immediately afterwards, Lin Chenran signed a contract with Daniel Harper covering tank modifications, improvised missiles, and drones, with a total value of over $300 million. Damu Kingdom chose to settle half of the contract in US dollars, with the other half also in oil. The initial settlement would be in US dollars. If the Great Wood country tried to renege on its debt and refused to cooperate, the 077 mechanical arsenal would be able to cut its losses early. After signing the contract, Lin Chenran shook Daniel Harper's hand tightly and expressed his gratitude. "Thank you very much to the Great Wood country, Mr. Harper, and everyone at the 077 mechanical arsenal for your trust and support." This $300 million deal had brought huge profits to the 077 mechanical arsenal. Daniel Harper responded, "Lin, your 077 mechanical arsenal's weapons and equipment are truly reliable. They helped us successfully defeat the invaders. Mutual assistance and mutual benefit, a win-win for all." The 077 mechanical arsenal received a large order. The Great Wood country purchased weapons and equipment to repel the invaders. Immediately afterwards, Daniel Harper and other representatives from the Great Wood country in the Camel region secretly left Yan country. As Zuzimo said, "I came quietly, just as I left quietly. There was no other way." If they didn't leave Yan country secretly, they would be discovered by Western countries, led by the United States, and both the Great Wood country and Yan country would be in trouble. After watching the Camel region Dami country leave the 077 mechanical arsenal, Lin Chenran turned around and returned to his office. Then, he picked up the phone on the desk and started to dial. Lin Chenran called his grandfather. Of course, the first person Lin Chenran thought of was his grandfather when it came to free credit. Although his grandfather didn't really need these credits. But it's better to keep the wealth within the family. Soon, a kind voice came from the receiver. "Smelly boy, you're willing to call me. You can tell from the sound that they are close to each other." "Huh? Grandpa, I'm just trying to get some credit for you." Lin Chenran went straight to the point and talked about the cooperation between his 077 mechanical arsenal and Dami country. Grandpa Lin frowned when he heard this. He didn't expect that the 077 mechanical arsenal actually had cooperation with Dami country, and that part of the settlement method was using oil. "Smelly boy, you're obviously trying to fish in troubled waters." Grandpa Lin's tone was a little serious, and he was obviously shocked and worried about the news. Oil is very important to Yan country. Especially in Yan country, which has been reforming and opening up. The economy has developed rapidly, and the demand for oil is increasing. Now there is a new channel that allows Yan country to obtain a large amount of oil. However, the Luochao region has always been a battleground since the discovery of oil. Grandpa, it is worth the risk to obtain a steady supply of oil for the country. The war between Dami country and Lion country will continue, but the two sides will no longer fight each other. Lin Chenran's words surprised Grandpa Lin on the other end of the phone. How is this possible? The Western countries led by the Eagle Source will not let the Luochao region settle down. Will the Eagle Source agree to it? Let the Luochao region settle down. Grandpa Lin felt that Lin Chenran's idea was unrealistic. "Grandpa, have you ever thought about the North?" Lin Chenran answered mysteriously. "North? The Russian bear? You brat. Do you think the Russian bear will come to the aid of the Great Wood Nation?" Lin Chenran smiled faintly. "Grandpa, the Great Wood Nation has gained a certain advantage in the war with the Lion Nation. The two sides are currently facing off along the border, with occasional friction and clashes, but large-scale battles are unlikely to occur often. Unless the Lion Nation possesses absolute combat power and defeats the Great Wood Nation in one fell swoop. The Great Wood Nation's current strength gives the Russian bear a window into matters in the Camel region. Do you think it will provide some assistance?" After hearing this, Grandpa Lin fell into deep thought. If the Russian bear came to support the Great Wood Nation, the pressure on it would be greatly reduced, and peaceful development would become a reality. Lin Chenran continued, "Old man, the conflict in Russia is intense right now. The Russian leadership needs to divert domestic tensions and unite all forces. The best option is to confront the Eagle Source. Both sides are very restrained and unwilling to engage head-on, but they can recruit subordinates to counterattack. The Great Wood Kingdom and the Lion Kingdom are the best pawns." After Lin Chenran's explanation, Old Man Lin began to believe that Russia would support the Great Wood Kingdom. "But we still can't obtain oil resources from the Great Wood Kingdom. Since the Great Wood Kingdom will be stable, will it definitely rely on Russia and agree to cooperate?" "Old man, you should know that Russia is not short of oil. It is one of the world's largest oil exporters." After this reminder, Old Man Lin suddenly understood. He had forgotten that Russia was also the world's largest oil exporter. Therefore, Lin Chenran's connection with the Great Wood Kingdom was indeed in the interests of Yan Kingdom, especially since it could import large quantities of oil. It would be crucial to Yan Kingdom's development. "Brat, I'll report the situation." Although Old Man Lin was tempted, he still had to report it. "That's your business. We at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal only want our fair share," Lin Chenran said calmly. "Business done." Grandpa Lin then inquired, "Son, are you coming home for the Lunar New Year this year?" The New Year quietly arrived. "Grandpa, I will be back this year for the Lunar New Year," Lin Chenran promised Grandpa Lin. Previously, Lin Chenran hadn't been home for the Lunar New Year, constantly busy running around. Okay. When you come back, let me know, and I'll have Xiaoi pick you up." Grandpa Lin burst into laughter upon hearing this. "Don't bother Brother Yi. I'll just take a ride." Lin Chenran refused repeatedly. He couldn't let Grandpa Lin keep making exceptions for him. This wasn't what he wanted. Grandpa Lin smiled and said, "Do you have a girlfriend? You're not young anymore. It's time to get married." Lin Chenran was stunned. "Grandpa, I'm still young. Grandpa, goodbye. I have things to do." Then Lin Chenran hung up the phone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163. 20 million bonus. After hearing the beep beep sound coming from the microphone, Mr. Lin shook his head helplessly and muttered in a low voice, "This kid, every time you talk to him about important life events, he avoids it." After that, Mr. Lin put down the phone. Then, Mr. Lin said to He beside him, "Ziohe, prepare a car for me. I need to go out for a while." He nodded, turned and left. Mr. Lin was going to discuss with other senior officials of Yan State about the oil matters in the hands of Damu State. 077 Mechanical Military Factory in Linjiang Province. Lin Chenran patted his chest lightly, glad that he hung up the phone quickly enough, otherwise he would be urged to get married by his own grandfather again. Thinking of this, Lin Chenran shuddered and said to himself, "It's terrible. Time flies," and before he knew it, there was only half a month left before the New Year's Eve of 1986. Lin Chenran specifically summoned all the senior executives from the 077 Mechanical Arsenal for an important meeting. As the executives filed in, the spacious conference room instantly became bustling with activity. After everyone was seated, Lin Chenran cleared his throat and announced, "Alright, everyone's here now. Let's begin the meeting." The meeting had a single topic: bonus distribution, arrangements for employees returning home for the Lunar New Year, and plans for the remaining employees at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, revealing a faint smile as he whispered, "Time flies. In the blink of an eye, New Year's Eve is here again." His gaze swept across the room, and he continued, "I would like to sincerely thank everyone for their hard work over the past year. Without your efforts and dedication, how could our factory have achieved such rapid growth? The remarkable progress of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal was inseparable from the hard work of every employee." Lin Chenran then led the applause, his clapping clear and resounding, as if expressing his gratitude to everyone. Seeing this, Song Xian, who was standing next to him, immediately followed the rhythm and clapped his hands vigorously. Seeing this, other senior managers followed suit, and for a while, the conference room was filled with warm applause. The applause lasted for a full 3 minutes, as deafening as thunder. Finally, Lin Chenran gently waved his right hand, motioning everyone to sit down first. After everyone was seated, Lin Chenran said, "This applause is for everyone. Thank you for your hard work last year, and for contributing to the development of the factory. Now we will enter the part that everyone is most concerned about, and the topic that everyone has talked about the most in recent days: bonuses." As soon as the words fell, the whole conference room was suddenly filled with whispers. With the Spring Festival approaching, the employees of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal are most concerned about the issue of bonus distribution, which is also human nature. I have discussed with my superiors, and this time we will take out 20 million Yan coins as bonuses. Lin Chenran's mouth corners slightly raised, with a faint smile on his face, and his eyes revealed a hint of mystery and confidence. His voice was calm and steady, as if he were discussing a trivial matter. "What? 20 million? No way. That's too much. The higher-ups are so generous." Upon hearing this figure, the executives of the 077 Machinery and Military Factory couldn't help but stare wide-eyed, their faces filled with surprise and disbelief. For a moment, the conference room was filled with exclamations, questions, and cheers. The emotions of the 077 Machinery and Military Factory's executives were ignited by this astonishing figure, and the atmosphere became extremely heated. Such a high bonus was truly unique among the third-tier military factories. Last year, the total bonus at the 077 Machinery and Military Factory was not that high, but this year it had increased several times. This shocked and delighted everyone. No one had expected a direct reward of 20 million Yan this time. As the 077 machinery and military factory continued to expand, so too did its staff. After absorbing several factories in the second textile factory, the entire 077 machinery and military factory had grown to over 30,000 employees. The bonus of 20 million yanbi is evenly distributed, which means that every employee of the 077 mechanical arsenal can get a bonus equivalent to at least 1 month's salary. For these hard-working employees, this is undoubtedly a huge extra income. When Lin Chenran once again made it clear that the bonus amount this time was a full 20 million yanbi, the whole conference room suddenly boiled over. The senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal cheered excitedly. They waved their arms and shouted loudly, "Woohoo! Long live the director!" Cheers and applause resounded throughout the conference room, and even employees passing by outside could vaguely hear the movement inside. 3 minutes later, Lin Chenran smiled and stretched out his hands to press down, indicating that the senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal should calm down their excitement first. The senior executives gradually calmed down, but their faces were still filled with irrepressible smiles. "This is the reward you all deserve. Over the past year, our 077 mechanical arsenal has achieved remarkable success. We have successfully developed a variety of advanced weapons and equipment and products, which have won unanimous praise from domestic and foreign customers, and brought huge profits to the company," Lin Chenran said with emotion. A bonus of 20 million yanbi is not enough to recognize everyone's hard work. I promise everyone that, if you work hard, next year's bonus will double the 20 million yanbi, Lin Chenran said loudly. His voice was full of passion and determination. Lin Chenran continued, "I will not treat you unfairly, and the country will not treat you unfairly. If you want a generous bonus, you need to continue to work hard and contribute to the development of the factory." After Lin Chenran finished speaking, the senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal applauded enthusiastically. Everyone had developed a different feeling towards Lin Chenran. When the 077 mechanical arsenal was about to go bankrupt, Lin Chenran appeared and tried his best to save Guanlan. He led all the employees of the 077 mechanical arsenal to develop continuously and become a unique existence among the third-tier military factories in Yan country. Various salaries, bonuses, and benefits are far ahead of other domestic military factories. And now he has strived for a bonus of 20 million yan coins for all employees of the 077 mechanical arsenal. Such a good factory director can be said to be rare in a century. Then, amid the laughter of the crowd, the number of employees of the 077 mechanical arsenal who will take leave, stay in the factory, etc. was decided. The meeting lasted for an hour and a half. After the meeting, all employees of the 077 mechanical arsenal received a notice. This year's year-end bonus is 20 million yan coins. Suddenly, cheers rang out around the 077 mechanical arsenal. Long live the factory director. Chapter 159 has been reviewed. You can read it later. Chapter 164. Impressing the Monkey Kingdom. The 077 mechanical arsenal was filled with laughter and joy. Employees waved their arms excitedly, their eyes sparkling with excitement and gratitude. They held Lin Chenran in deep respect. He was a caring factory director who shared his achievements with everyone. He was also a distinguished leader who had guided the 077 mechanical arsenal through the threat of bankruptcy and into vigorous growth. A special bonus of 20 million yanbi coins was distributed to all employees. This was a unique event. News of the 077 mechanical arsenal's massive bonus of 20 million yanbi coins quickly spread throughout the other third-tier military factories, attracting the attention of senior management from other factories. They approached their superiors to discuss increasing their own bonuses. However, these requests were invariably rejected. How could they refuse? Could any of these third-tier factories earn as much as the 077 mechanical arsenal? Looking back over the past year, the 077 mechanical arsenal had achieved impressive sales of $20 to $30 billion. This achievement made it a leader among the other military factories. A far-reaching leader. 077 mechanical arsenal not only performs well in the field of military products, but also has considerable sales of civilian products. This trend of comprehensive development gives Lin Chenran enough confidence to negotiate with his superiors about the year-end bonus of 077 mechanical arsenal. The superiors approved the 20 million yen year-end bonus plan proposed by Lin Chenran without hesitation. After Lin Chenran explained all the relevant matters to the senior executives who stayed in 077 Mechanical Arsenal for the new year, he boarded the plane to the imperial capital. Soon, the plane landed at the imperial capital airport. As soon as Lin Chenran walked out of the airport, he saw Yi standing there and breathing out hot air to keep warm. He quickly quickened his pace and walked over. "Brother Yi, it's so cold, why don't you wait in the car?" Lin Chenran said embarrassedly. Yi smiled, waved his hand, and said nonchalantly, "It's okay, I'm wearing thick clothes," and didn't wait long. Lin Chenran felt warm in his heart, but did not expose Yi's white lie. "Okay, brother Yi, let's go," Lin Chenran said with a smile. After that, Lin Chenran picked up his luggage and followed Yi to the parking lot. This time, Yi did not drive Grandpa Lin's honky car to pick up Lin Chenran as usual, but drove a relatively ordinary car. This car was also placed at home by Lin Chenran for everyone to use. The main reason is that Grandpa Lin's honky car is too dazzling, and driving it out will inevitably cause unnecessary attention and trouble. After all, people should understand the principle of looking up at people and lowering their heads to do things. Not long after, Lin Chenran returned home. As soon as he entered the door, Yi told him to go to the study. Lin Chenran's grandfather had something to do with him. He walked to the door of the study and knocked on the door politely. Knock knock knock. As the knock on the door rang, a hearty voice came from the study. "Come in." Lin Chenran gently pushed open the door, walked into the study, and called out enthusiastically, "Grandpa, what can I do for you? Come, sit here." Hearing the familiar voice, Grandpa Lin immediately put down his work and stood to greet Lin Chenran. He took Lin Chenran's hand tightly and led him to sit on the sofa. Just then, Yi walked in with 2 steaming cups of tea. Grandpa Lin said straight to the point, "As you said, the Russians really did come to the aid of the Damu Kingdom." The Yan Kingdom's senior officials were somewhat surprised. They didn't expect the Russians to actually come to support the Damu Kingdom as Lin Chenran had predicted. "Grandpa, the key is the Damu Kingdom's inherent strength. With the support of several of our weapons and equipment, they directly defeated the Lion Kingdom. Even with the aid of the United States and other Western countries, the Lion Kingdom is still no match for the Damu Kingdom." Lin Chenran waved his hand helplessly. In fact, it wasn't the Damu Kingdom's strength that was the problem, but the Lion Kingdom's sheer weakness. With so much aid in the form of high-tech weapons and equipment, they still can't defeat the Damu Kingdom. How shameful. To deflect domestic conflict, Russia deliberately chose to support the Damu Kingdom. Now that the Damu Kingdom has acquired weapons and equipment from Russia, its strength is naturally even stronger. Naturally, the Damu Kingdom has increased its efforts to import civilian versions of weapons and equipment from the Yan Kingdom. After all, it is also worried that Russia will suddenly stop supporting it. Now the Yan Kingdom's top leaders have reached an agreement with the Damu Kingdom's top leaders to settle the bill with oil. The Damu Kingdom also imports some light industrial products from the Yan Kingdom. Grandpa, from the Damu Kingdom, your top leaders should pay attention. Weapons and equipment and other light industrial products can be sold, but they require the establishment of equipment and facilities. This should be handled with caution. Lin Chenran reminded mysteriously. Grandpa Lin instantly guessed Lin Chenran's intention. "Do you think the Damu Kingdom will be invaded again?" Grandpa Lin asked subconsciously. "Grandpa, you know that the Camel region has been a battleground for all nations since the discovery of oil. There's a hodgepodge of populations, ethnicities, and beliefs, and wars often break out there." Lin Chenran shook his head, not quite optimistic about the Damu Kingdom. Once this political party falls out of power and another takes power, relevant policies will change. Therefore, Lin Chenran suggested purchasing only Damu Kingdom's oil and refraining from other infrastructure projects. "You're right. Damu Kingdom came to the Camel region to discuss cooperation, which also involved infrastructure and equipment. Whether we can reach an agreement on that is mainly because we can't afford to provide large amounts of funds to other countries right now." While some Yan Kingdom officials believed that indirectly controlling Damu Kingdom would provide a steady supply of oil, many others felt it was unreliable. "Son, your military factories need to increase production of various weapons and equipment," said Old Man Lin, frowning. Grandpa, are we going to take action against the Monkey Kingdom? Lin Chenran asked quietly. If not, Grandpa Lin would not have reminded Lin Chenran to let the 077 mechanical military factory increase the production of various weapons and equipment. This must be a big problem. Lin Chenran instantly thought of the events that happened in 1986. The tone has been set. We must teach the ungrateful monkey country a profound lesson so that it won't jump so happily. We can still deal with it when we need to. A health ambassador, I'm just holding back the fire, not putting it out. Since you want to try the strength of the 5 good guys, then Yan country will definitely be very willing to let you feel that tsunami-like anger. With the aid of Yan country, you have been opposing Yan country internationally. Who gave you the courage of the monkey country? Chapter 165. Revisiting the old place and visiting the second textile factory. Grandpa, don't worry. We at the 077 Mechanical Arms Factory have already designed several light weapons, as well as a batch of heavy weapons. We originally planned to wait until testing was complete to see if the military would be willing to purchase them, Lin Chenran said slowly. The 077 Mechanical Arms Factory had already made new plans for the light weapons market. The light weapons market has always been a promising area. Despite the advancement of technology and the advancement of advanced weaponry, the need for human personnel to personally fight the enemy remains. Therefore, light weapons naturally hold enormous market potential. What? Your 077 Mechanical Arms Factory is actually entering the light weapons market? Grandpa Lin was surprised, having assumed that the 077 Mechanical Arms Factory looked down on this sector. Haha, Grandpa, the light weapons market is huge. How could our 077 Mechanical Arms Factory miss out on such a huge opportunity? Besides, we have a dedicated light weapons R&D team here at the factory. We can't just leave them idle. Light weapons sales have always been impressive, and capturing a share of this market would only benefit the 077 Mechanical Arms Factory. It's enough for you to have an idea here. Anyway, the demand for weapons and equipment will be huge by then. This was leaked to Lin Chenran in advance. No problem, I know how to do it. The two did not point out the problem, but Lin Chenran understood it immediately. Time passed quickly, and the Spring Festival of 1986 passed quietly. Lin Chenran could not stand Mr. Lin's urging to get married, so he chose to secretly leave the imperial capital and return to Linjiang province on the 5th day of the new year. There was no other way, mainly because Mr. Lin asked his daughter-in-law, Lin Chenran's mother Liang Kaiksha, to introduce a girl to Lin Chenran. If he doesn't run now, when will he run? Lin Chenran flew back to Linjiang province from the imperial capital overnight. After returning to the 077 Mechanical Military Factory, Lin Chenran quickly got into work mode. He took a group of senior executives of the 077 Mechanical Military Factory to inspect the situation in various factory areas. Mr. Song, after the light weapons and equipment designed, developed, and produced by the factory have been tested, and there are no problems, a batch can be mass produced. Lin Chenran gave the order directly. Chenran, you're mass producing a batch of light weapons and equipment so quickly. Did you get an order? Song Xian asked, puzzled. Yes. The military should be purchasing some, so we are preparing ahead of time. Lin Chenran didn't mention that these weapons and equipment would be used on Monkey Punch. No problem, I'll arrange it later. Song Xian smiled brightly upon hearing that the Yan Kingdom military was purchasing a batch of weapons and equipment. After all, the light weapons and equipment department was under Song Xian's supervision, and being able to sell them would be a huge benefit to him. Mr. Song, please contact Daniel Harper from Damu Kingdom and ask if they'd like to purchase some light weapons and equipment. After Russia came to Damu Kingdom's aid, its blockade restrictions eased. Damu Kingdom could import weapons and equipment from other countries. Okay, I'll contact Daniel Harper later to see if he'd like to purchase some light weapons and equipment. After returning to Lin Chenran's office, his assistant Xiao Liang brought in 2 cups of hot tea. Mr. Song, I'll be visiting Russia in mid-April. You'll be in charge of all matters at the factory, Lin Chenran said slowly. What? You're going on another business trip to Russia? Is there a problem with Russia's international trade in Yan country? Song Xian was puzzled as to why Lin Chenran suddenly wanted to go to Russia. No, I have a business deal to discuss. Indeed, Lin Chenran was targeting the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which exploded in April. The 077 mechanical arsenal had previously developed several high-strength radiation-resistant detection robots, high-strength radiation-resistant drones, and high-strength radiation-resistant protective clothing. These radiation-resistant materials would allow the 077 mechanical arsenal to profit from this catastrophe of the century. Lin Chenran was particularly envious of Russia's core technologies and heavy industry technology. Even if Lin Chenran could obtain advanced technology from various parallel universes, he still wanted to import the various technologies Russia possessed. He was also envious of the talent in Russia. The explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant has made the already chaotic Russian bear even more chaotic. This is a good time to fish in troubled waters. Song Zian did not inquire about the business that Lin Chenran was talking about, and directly assured the other party that the 077 mechanical arsenal would develop according to the original plan. No problem, I will coordinate it, Song Zian assured Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran led several senior leaders of the 077 mechanical arsenal to the second textile factory in Linjiang province. This is an important inspection operation aimed at understanding the production and development status of the factory. Before leaving, Lin Chenran specifically notified Wu Changqing, the director of the second textile factory, in advance and said that he would come to inspect the work in person. This news made the entire second textile factory boil, and everyone began to prepare to welcome the arrival of this important person. When Lin Chenran and his party arrived at the second textile factory, they were warmly welcomed by the senior executives of the factory headed by Wu Changqing. Wu Changqing walked forward with a smile, shook hands with Lin Chenran, and said, "Mr. Lin, welcome to our second textile factory to inspect and guide our work." Lin Chenran smiled back and expressed his gratitude. Since the second textile factory was incorporated into the 077 machinery and military factory, it has ushered in new development opportunities. Not only does it receive a large number of orders from Russia every month, but its share of the domestic market has also grown rapidly. At the same time, the second textile factory has also been fiercely competing with foreign companies in the domestic clothing market, gradually gaining a foothold. Furthermore, they have successfully established their own brands at the low, mid, and higher levels, making the second textile factory more competitive in both domestic and international markets. Lin Chenran asked Wu Changqing to take him on a tour of the second textile factory first. The second textile factory had undergone tremendous changes. Wu Changqing took Lin Chenran on a sightseeing bus to tour the entire factory. Previously, it was possible to walk the entire factory. Now, walking is possible, but it takes a lot of time. This is largely due to the second textile factory's rapid development, with the support of the 077 machinery and military factory, and the factory area has expanded several times. It can be said that every year is different, every month is different. Wu Changqing introduced the second textile factory to Lin Chenran and several senior executives of the 077 machinery military factory in a very calm pace. The second textile factory currently has 5,000 employees. I plan to stop recruiting employees on a large scale and introduce advanced automated equipment. Wu Changqing reported his previous plan to Lin Chenran. No problem, as long as it is beneficial to the development of the second textile factory, I will support it. Chapter 166 Consumption Power, Women Pet Men. After Lin Chenran and several senior executives from the 077 machinery arsenal toured the second textile factory, everyone's face lit up with satisfaction. Director Wu, although I don't work at the second textile factory and don't keep an eye on it, I've been closely following its development. Seeing its current state, I'm very pleased. Director Wu and all the senior executives from the second textile factory present. You've worked so hard. Lin Chenran specifically praised the senior executives present. Thank you, President Lin. Your recognition and encouragement are our driving force. Wu Changqing was overcome with excitement. To receive recognition from his boss meant he was sure to receive a bonus next year. Last time, Wu Changqing had received an unprecedentedly large bonus, earned entirely through legitimate means. Afterward, Lin Chenran had Wu Changqing lead them to the conference room, where he briefly outlined some important matters and discussed how to ship a large quantity of clothing to Russia. The turbulent situation in Russia was not only impacting its economy and social order, but was also having a significant impact on the local production of light industrial goods. The originally underdeveloped light industry fell into further trouble during the turmoil and stagnated. As a result, the demand for foreign imported goods in the Bear Country increased dramatically, and the prices of these goods also soared. After entering the conference room, Lin Chenran sat leisurely in the main seat, while the others took their seats in order. His mouth curled up, his face showing joy, and he began to praise everyone. In the past year, the second textile factory has had an extremely strong development momentum. It has successfully created 3 distinct brands at the low, medium, and higher levels, and has been deeply favored and loved by domestic and foreign customers. As soon as he finished speaking, Wu Changqing took the lead in applauding, and other senior executives followed suit. Warm applause resounded throughout the conference room. After a moment, when the applause gradually subsided, Lin Chenran continued, "Next, we will further explore domestic and foreign customer resources." He paused and added with a firm gaze, "At the same time, our team of designers still needs to continue to grow. Only with an outstanding team can we ensure that the various types of clothing designed and developed by our second textile factory keep up with the trend of the times. An excellent team can design many clothing styles that lead fashion trends." He then looked to the future, stating that when the time was right, the second textile factory would enter the luxury goods market. Luxury goods have always been sought after. Even later generations of Louis Vuitton's various exotic products were purchased by female consumers. In the consumer market of later generations, a saying has been circulating: in terms of spending power, women are always far ahead of men. Women, children, elderly, pets, men. Upon hearing this, Wu Changqing immediately patted his chest and replied firmly, "Mr. Lin, don't worry. We will work hard to optimize the factory's design and development team, and strive to design even better clothing that is more in line with the trend of the times." Lin Chenran nodded slightly and said with a smile, "I believe everyone has the ability to do better. Although I don't usually work at the second textile factory, I will continue closely monitoring its development." Then, changing the subject, he continued, "Director Wu, I will be visiting Maoxiang again in April to further expand trade channels between China and Maoxiang. You can arrange personnel in advance and prepare for the production of a large number of clothing items. Then we will go to Maoxiang together." This was actually one of the reasons why Lin Chenran came to the second textile factory this time. When the senior executives of the second textile factory heard the news, their faces immediately broke into bright smiles. They all knew that this meant that another batch of goods would be able to be sold smoothly. For the second textile factory, this was undoubtedly great news. The trade between Yan country and the Russian Bear was indeed a very profitable and lucrative channel for the second textile factory. It made the second textile factory earn a lot of money. "No problem, Mr. Lin. Don't worry, I will arrange it properly." Wu Changqing's mouth corners slightly raised, with a smile on his face. Then, Lin Chenran discussed the development of the factory, major and minor matters, etc. with the second textile factory. The meeting lasted for 2 hours. Lin Chenran had dinner with several senior executives of the 077 machinery and military factory at the second textile factory and then left. After watching Lin Chenran leave, Wu Changqing and other senior executives of the second textile factory returned to the conference room to continue. After returning to the 077 machinery and military factory, Lin Chenran learned from his assistant Xiao Liang that Mr. Wei, the head of the army equipment department of the Yan country military, had called not long ago. Lin Chenran was puzzled. Why did Mr. Wei call him again? What was going on? Lin Chenran returned to his office and immediately picked up the phone on the desk and called back. Soon, a familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. "Lin boy, you are such a busy man." Mr. Wei jokingly teased him. "Huh. Mr. Wei, I'm sorry. Next time I will definitely stay by the phone and not leave for a moment," Lin Chenran said with a smile. Suddenly, the two of them burst into laughter. After the joke, Lin Chenran directly asked why Mr. Wei called this time. Lin boy, with the development of the times, the J-7 fighter jets in the hands of the Air Force cannot meet the demand, so it is necessary to redesign a third generation fighter jet. Mr. Welly said very calmly. What? Third generation fighter jet? Mr. Welly, the military is going to give this task to our 077 mechanical arsenal? Lin Chenran was surprised at first, and then he directly grabbed the task. What are you thinking? Does your 077 machinery and military factory have the technology and experience to design fighter jets? Hearing Lin Chenran hitting the snake with a stick, old Weddy was completely speechless. The military already has a design unit for the third generation fighter jet. Old Weddy directly shattered Lin Chenran's unrealistic idea. Huh? Old Weddy, are you trying to make fun of me? Since there's already a design and development unit for the third generation fighter jet, why are you still telling me this? Lin Chenran was instantly depressed upon hearing this. It turned out that his excitement was for nothing. You kid, you're getting impatient again. You want to take advantage of everything. Old Weddy laughed and scolded. The chief designer of the third generation fighter jet will come to the 077 machinery and military factory in 3 days. You'll need to receive him then. Old Weddy directly stated the purpose of this trip. Old Weddy, you still want us to receive you? You said that our 077 machinery and military factory doesn't have the foundation to design and develop fighter jets. Why would the chief designer of a third generation fighter jet come to our factory? Lin Chenran directly refuted him with what old Weddy had just said. Typing on the way home. Thank you all for your support. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival in advance. Chapter 167 What's wrong with needing a few talents in the communications field? Upon hearing this, Elder Weddy couldn't help but wonder, why does this kid always want to take advantage of me? However, he also knew Lin Chenran's abilities and the wealth of the 077 mechanical arsenal, so he didn't refuse. Tell me what you want. I'll do my best to coordinate anything I can, Elder Weddy said seriously. Lin Chenran didn't waste any time, stating his purpose directly. Our 077 mechanical arsenal wants to enter the communications field. I'd like you to introduce me to several top communications talents, as well as to communications factories and teams that are about to close or disband. Upon hearing this, Elder Weddy couldn't help but chuckle and scold. You're such a pervert. But he actually admired Lin Chenran for his success in every field he entered. This contributed to the 077 mechanical arsenal's growing size. Elder Weddy happened to know some of the country's top communications talents, as well as several communications teams struggling with funding issues. With the country's focus on economic development, R&D funding for these teams has been significantly reduced, with some even completely stopped. As a result, these teams are facing the risk of disbanding. If the 077 mechanical arsenal could take them over, it would not only solve the survival problems of these teams and shoulder the burden of the Yan state officials, but also contribute to Yan state's communications industry. This would be a win-win situation, and the Yan state officials would naturally be very happy to see it. I agree to your request. You always make so many requests to me. Although Elder Weddy agreed, he still had to press Lin Chenran. After hearing Elder Weddy's words, Lin Chenran couldn't help but feel happy. He knew that his plan was halfway successful. The communications field is very promising. It is closely related to many other fields. Its development will enable us to gain a certain degree of initiative in the field of information and communications. Lin Chenran's tone revealed a firmness and determination, and his eyes sparkled with wisdom. Lin Chenran attached great importance to the communications field because he was well aware of its immeasurable value to the country's development. It is not only related to scientific and technological advancement, but also the key to national security and international competitiveness. This is a must-fight area in the future. Lin Chenran thought secretly. He understood that only by seizing the commanding heights in the communications field could he have a greater voice on the global stage. Elder Weddy and other high-ranking officials of the Yan state were also well aware of the importance of the communications sector. However, Yan state's limited funds made it impossible to invest and develop all sectors. Lin, young man, you should understand that the country can only focus its limited resources on those areas where we must compete to ensure we are not left far behind by other developed countries. Elder Weddy's voice was filled with resignation. Lin Chenran nodded silently in understanding. He knew that, while the communications sector held enormous potential, the country currently faced numerous challenges, requiring careful consideration of the pros and cons. At this moment, Elder Wei suddenly became very serious. He stared at Lin Chenran and said slowly, "Lin, young man, you should have received the news." Lin Chenran feigned confusion and replied, "What? Elder Wei, stop playing tricks. I don't even know what you are talking about." Seeing this, Elder Wei stopped beating around the bush and said bluntly, "The country is preparing to take action against the Monkey Kingdom. It has been delayed for so long. It is time to end this righteous war." Lin Chenran's heart trembled, knowing that the moment had finally arrived. The nation's decision to act signified a major shift in the situation, and as a part of it, he must be prepared to respond. Even if the Monkey Kingdom were given more time, it wouldn't reflect on its own problems. Since that was the case, he might as well inflict a lasting impression on it, so that it would clearly understand that the 5 great benefactors were not easily provoked. A dragon has a reverse scale. Anyone who touches it will die. A phoenix has a hollow neck. Anyone who violates it will perish. Lin Chenran agreed with Elder Wei and the others. Indeed, to promote the country's economic development, this just war needs to be brought to an end as soon as possible. We have already invested a significant amount of resources in this war. Then, Lin Chenran added, "Elder Wei, rest assured. Our 077 machinery arsenal has also made some breakthroughs in light weapons equipment. Several types of light weapons equipment have successfully entered production and are awaiting testing by your military. If there are no problems, you can consider a large-scale purchase. They will become a key weapon of our Yan nation in the future." Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, revealing a confident smile, as if everything was under control. "You kid, it seems you've already got inside information," Elder Wei said, bluntly exposing Lin Chenran's words. Haha. Lin Chenran smiled awkwardly, muttering to himself, "Sure enough, I can't hide it from this old man." But he quickly denied it, saying, "No way. Our 077 mechanical arsenal has long had the idea of developing light weapons, and you know the market is quite large." Lin Chenran repeatedly denied it, and he would never admit that he had received the news in advance. This matter could be big or small, and if it were discovered, it might bring him unnecessary trouble. So he could only deny it and let it go. Old Wei asked directly, "Do you think I believe it?" Lin Chenran laughed it off and said, "Old Wei, that's not important." Old Wei didn't dwell on it anymore. "In 3 days, someone from our military will come to inspect it. If the weapons and equipment from your 077 mechanical arsenal really meet our military's needs, we will purchase a batch." Old Wei said slowly. "Don't worry, Old Wei, it will definitely meet your military's needs." Lin Chenran patted his chest and answered affirmatively. "Okay, wait for the inspection." After Old Wei finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Lin Chenran only heard a series of beeping sounds. This. Lin Chenran put down the phone in his hand and asked his assistant Xiao Liang to invite Song Xian to his office. After receiving the instructions, Assistant Xiao Liang immediately went to find Song Xian. After a while, there was a knock on the door in the office. "Chenran, are you looking for me?" Song Xian walked in with a smile. "Mr. Song, please sit here." "Xiao Liang, please pour us each a cup of hot tea," Lin Chenran said enthusiastically. "Okay, Mr. Lin." Assistant Xiao Liang quickly brought in 2 cups of hot tea. "Mr. Song, in 3 days, the chief designer of the country's 3rd generation fighter will come to our 077 mechanical arsenal to discuss with us." Chapter 168 Welcoming the J-10 fighter. The chief designer of the 3rd generation fighter jet is coming to our 077 mechanical arsenal. After hearing the news, Song Xian's face showed an expression of surprise and confusion. He secretly wondered in his heart, is there something in our 077 mechanical arsenal that attracted the attention of this chief designer? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but frowned and fell into deep thought. Then, Song Xian looked directly at Lin Chenran, with a hint of expectation in his eyes, as if hoping to get an answer from him. However, Lin Chenran smiled bitterly and shook his head helplessly, indicating that he didn't know either. "Mr. Song, I really don't know why the other party came to our 077 mechanical arsenal." Mr. Wei was also ambiguous just now. Lin Chenran said a little embarrassedly. Song Xian was slightly stunned and then asked with some dissatisfaction, "You don't know either? This is very embarrassing." Lin Chenran explained aggrievedly, "Mr. Song, it's not that I don't want to ask, but Mr. Wei is simply unwilling to reveal too much information." He sighed and felt very wronged in his heart. Song Xian looked at Lin Chenran's aggrieved look and suddenly understood. He shook his head helplessly, thinking, when did his own factory director become so unreliable? What's the name of the chief designer of the third generation fighter? You should know this, right? Song Xian took a deep breath and decided to first understand the other party's identity and background. Lin Chenran nodded quickly and replied, "Mr. Song, you also know this chief designer. He is Chief Designer Song Wen." After that, he carefully observed Song Xian's reaction. Lin Chenran joked, 500 years ago, you might have been from the same family. Lin Wen? Song Xian showed a hint of surprise and confusion on his face when he heard the name. Are you talking about Lin Wen from Chengfei Military Industry Company? Lin Chenran nodded. Song Xian was immediately surprised. Of course he knew Lin Wen. They had had contact before. Chengfei Military Industry Company's third generation fighter has been recognized by the military. In the field of aircraft design in Yan State, Chengfei Military Industry Company and Shenfei Military Industry Company have always been in fierce competition. These two military industrial enterprises possess unique advantages in aircraft design and are considered leaders in the industry. Almost all of the advanced aircraft used by the Yan Kingdom in later generations were developed by these two military industrial enterprises. After a moment's reflection, Song Xian suggested, "Chenran, you can have Yao Zichen come along to entertain them." Yao Zichen was very familiar with aircraft design at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal and was considered an expert in the field. Lin Chenran smiled in agreement. "That's exactly what I was thinking." He then added, "Perhaps Chief Engineer Song Wen came to visit us just because of Mr. Yao." Lin Chenran and Song Xian smiled at each other, their ideas coinciding. They then continued to discuss the relevant matters. Time flies, and just 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Early in the morning, Lin Chenran received a notice. The design and development team for the domestic third generation fighter jet would arrive at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal at 9:30 am. At this moment, Lin Chenran was standing in front of his complex building with several senior executives, awaiting their arrival. Among them, Yao Zichen was also among them. While waiting for others, Lin Chenran took the initiative to walk to Yao Zichen and chat. "Mr. Yao, it all depends on you from now on," Lin Chenran said with a smile. "You are an expert in the field of aircraft design in our 077 Mechanical Arsenal. You have to take charge at critical moments." During the words, Lin Chenran was full of admiration for Yao Zichen. In the face of Lin Chenran's praise, Yao Zichen quickly responded modestly, "Mr. Lin, you are too kind. How dare I be worthy of the word expert?" Since coming to the 077 Mechanical Arsenal and meeting Lin Chenran, Yao Zichen has deeply realized that there are indeed peerless geniuses like Lin Chenran in the world. Whether it is the weapons and equipment of the Navy, Army, and Air Force, or other fields, Lin Chenran can carry out design and research and development work with ease, and he often bursts out with new ideas and inspirations. After Lin Chenran chatted with the other party for a while, his eyes suddenly looked into the distance, and he saw several small black dots appearing there, and they were still getting bigger. What is that? Lin Chenran was puzzled, but he quickly reacted. That should be the vehicle of the third generation fighter design and development team. Mr. Yao, the design and development team of the third generation fighter is about to arrive at our 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Let's go and greet them, Lin Chenran said with a smile. After speaking, Lin Chenran stepped out, and other senior executives of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal also followed, and Yao Zichen followed closely behind Lin Chenran. Not long after, a large convoy slowly stopped in front of the complex building of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, and a group of people got off the car. Lin Chenran saw a familiar figure at a glance: Song Wen, the chief designer of the J-10 fighter. He strode forward quickly, with a warm smile on his face, shook hands with an old man and said, "Welcome Chief Engineer Song Wen to our 077 Mechanical Military Factory to inspect our work." "Director Lin, you are so polite. I'm sorry to trouble you with my visit this time. Please forgive me," Song Wen responded with a smile. Song Wen kept a low profile. The rise of the 077 Mechanical Military Factory was not an easy one. The 077 Mechanical Military Factory was a third-tier military factory on the verge of bankruptcy at the beginning, and now it has become a first-class domestic machinery manufacturing enterprise. Lin Chenran is the soul of this factory. It is because of his leadership that the 077 Mechanical Military Factory has embarked on a glorious road. Therefore, Song Wen has always respected Lin Chenran. Moreover, Song Wen came to the 077 Mechanical Military Factory this time to ask for help from the other party, so he must keep a low profile. Afterwards, Lin Chenran took the design and development team of the domestic third-generation fighter jet, the J-10 fighter jet, to the conference room. After everyone sat down, Lin Chenran asked directly, "Chief Engineer Song Wen, what is the purpose of your visit to our 077 mechanical arsenal this time?" Although Mr. Wen informed me before, he was ambiguous on the phone and did not tell us the purpose of your visit. But we at the 077 mechanical arsenal can do it, and we will definitely help you complete the third generation fighter project. Lin Chenran shook his head helplessly, indicating that he really didn't know. Song Wen on the side came just for what Lin Chenran said. He immediately expressed his gratitude. "Thank you for the strong support of the 077 mechanical arsenal." Then Song Wen stated the purpose of his visit to the 077 mechanical arsenal. That's right, Song Wen had his eyes on the special basalt materials in the hands of the 077 mechanical arsenal. After many rounds of research and development, the 077 mechanical arsenal has developed special composite materials of various metals. Chapter 169. Is this a J-10 fighter jet? The design and development team for the third generation fighter jet had come to see if the 077 machinery and military factory's special basalt steel could be used on the J-10 fighter jet. This was primarily due to the fact that the factory had previously successfully developed various composite materials based on basalt steel and had publicly released the specifications of several of these composite materials internally. This immediately caught the attention of the J-10 fighter jet design and development team, and a meeting was subsequently arranged through mediation by the Yan State military. Chief Engineer Song Wen, we'll discuss the special metal materials later. First, could you please describe your company's J-10 fighter jet, so we can better understand it and better select a suitable special composite material? Even if we don't have a suitable special metal composite material readily available, we can develop one specifically for you. Lin Chenran sounded confident. After all, the 077 machinery and military factory was undoubtedly a leader in the field of composite materials. They had the skills. "Everyone, we need to get ready first." Song Wen apologized and signaled his design and development team to begin preparations. "No problem, Chief Designer Song Wen. Please prepare first. We're looking forward to seeing the J-10 fighter." Lin Chenran smiled slightly. Soon, the J-10 fighter's design and development team was ready and reported to Song Wen. Song Wen then began to briefly introduce the J-10 fighter, which he had designed and developed, to everyone present. The J-10 fighter, equipped with a high-thrust turbofan engine and a canard aerodynamic layout, is a medium-sized, multi-role, supersonic all-weather air superiority fighter. The J-10 fighter has a length of 14.57 meters, a wingspan of 8.78 meters, a height of 5.3 meters, a maximum speed of Mach 2.0, a maximum ceiling of 18,000 meters, a combat radius of 1,100 kilometers, a maximum range of 2,500 kilometers, a maximum takeoff weight of 19,277 kilograms, a bomb load of 7,000 kilograms, and a thrust-to-weight ratio greater than 1.1. Power system. The first production model of the J-10 uses the Soviet-made AL-31FN turbofan engine. This puzzled Lin Chenran, and he couldn't help but ask Chief Engineer Song Wen. "Chief Engineer Song Wen, does the J-10 fighter jet use the Soviet-made AL-31FN turbofan engine?" Lin Chenran questioned. "Will Russia sell it to us?" This advanced engine technology is a vital strategic resource for any country and cannot be easily sold to other countries. Lin Chenran, however, took a more ambitious approach. pointing out, the AL-31FN turbofan engine is the engine for the Su-27 fighter jet, and was recently developed. Relying on foreign engine technology would put us in dire straits in the event of political or economic setbacks. Without mastering core technology, Yan's aviation industry would remain permanently at a disadvantage. Faced with this question, Chief Engineer Song Wen was momentarily unsure how to respond. Then, a member of the J-10 fighter jet design and development team said, "Chief Engineer Lin, we are just speculating right now." His attitude seemed nonchalant, but Lin Chenran disagreed. "We can't imagine it. After all, you're going to be preparing for the design and development. What if Russia doesn't sell the AL-31FN turbofan engine once it's finalized?" Lin Chenran retorted directly. "It is not advisable to rely on others for key technologies. Independent innovation and research and development capabilities are necessary. Mr. Lin, you also know that our domestic engine technology is very backward, and the established Taehang turbofan engine project has stagnated." Chief Engineer Song Wen frowned, and he was worried about the current state of domestic engine technology. According to Song Wen's idea, if a Yanguoxin could be installed on the J-10 fighter, then this fighter would be more powerful. However, the reality is not optimistic, because the research and development project of the Taehang turbofan engine has stagnated, and it is highly likely that it will not be able to catch this ride. Song Wen shook his head helplessly, and then continued, "But we have reserved enough space and position, which can be replaced with Yanguoxin at any time. As long as the Taehang turbofan engine is successfully developed, it can replace the original engine. The research and development of the Taehang turbofan engine has been full of twists and turns. In the previous life, the Taehang turbofan engine began preliminary research in 1978 and did not complete the design finalization review and assessment until December 28, 2005. The whole process lasted for 27 years. Although the Yan country's military now attaches great importance to the research and development of the J-10 fighter, the research and development of the Taehang turbofan engine is still full of challenges. The domestic turbofan engine technology of Yan country is relatively backward, and there is a big gap with the world's advanced level." Lin Chenran couldn't help thinking about how to introduce advanced turbofan engines from the Russian Bear. While the Russian Bear falls, Lin Chenran can take advantage of the situation and introduce advanced turbofan engine technology and production lines from the other side. Chief Engineer Song Wen, please continue. Lin Chenran said slowly. The J-10 fighter uses a 1473 pulse Doppler radar, which is a traditional mechanical scanning radar. Its performance parameters are as follows. The maximum search range is 160 km, the upward-looking range is 100 km, the downward-looking range is 80 km, and the rear-looking range is 40 km. It can track 16 to 20 targets at the same time, and can attack 6 to 8 of the most threatening air targets at the same time. Hearing this, Lin Chenran frowned unconsciously. The 1473 pulse Doppler radar is just an ordinary radar, and most of the third-generation fighter jets in the world have begun to adopt more advanced active phased array radars. In comparison, the J-10 fighter is still at the stage of using ordinary radars, which undoubtedly seems a bit outdated and backward. This reflects the limitations of the J-10 fighter design and development team at the time. They failed to keep up with the pace of the times in a timely manner, and chose a relatively conservative technical solution. Song Wen noticed that Lin Chenran would frown from time to time, and his heart couldn't help but clang. He attached great importance to Lin Chenran's ideas, because he was well aware of his strength and talent. Among the many third-tier military factories, Lin Chenran was a well-known genius, and his insights were often unique. Boss Lin, do you have any ideas about our J-10 fighter using the 1473 pulse Doppler radar? Song Wen looked at Lin Chenran and said modestly, Chief Engineer Song Wen, why doesn't the J-10 fighter use the active phased array radar that is standard for the current third-generation fighters? Lin Chenran once again put forward his own ideas. Active phased array radar? Boss Lin, we don't have any research on active phased array radar in our country. A member of the J-10 fighter team explained. Our J-10 fighter is at a very obvious disadvantage against other countries' third-generation fighters. Radar is like the eyes of a fighter. With advanced radar, you can detect the opponent one step faster. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 Special Composite Materials. 077 Mechanical Arsenal will satisfy you. Gaps in radar technology can put one side at a disadvantage in combat. The enemy's third-generation fighter jets, equipped with advanced active phased array radars, can detect our fighter jets immediately and take appropriate action. In contrast, if our J-10 fighter jets are unable to detect the enemy in advance or simultaneously detect each other, their advantage in air combat will be greatly reduced. Can such a J-10 fighter jet be called a true third-generation fighter? Its various standards do not fully meet those of a third-generation fighter. In fact, it is more like a fighter jet between the second and third generations, a second-generation and a half fighter. Upon hearing Lin Chenran's words, the J-10 fighter design and development team members present were embarrassed. They realized there were problems with their design. It felt like a child being caught in a lie, shame, and helplessness. Lin Chenran continued, I stand by my view. I believe the design and development of the J-10 fighter jet must be forward-looking. We cannot lag behind foreign third-generation fighter jets in performance in the early stages of design. Otherwise, our fighter jets will never catch up with international advanced levels. After hearing Lin Chenran's words, Song Wen strongly agreed with his thoughts. He thanked Lin Chenran and promised to seriously consider his suggestions. Mr. Lin, your idea is absolutely correct. We'll go back and revise it, Song Wen said modestly. He then lamented, coming to the 077 machinery arsenal was a wise decision indeed. It made our entire design and development team realize the many shortcomings of the J-10 fighter we designed and developed. Hearing the other party's tone become so humble, Lin Chenran naturally had to give him a way out. Chief Engineer Song Wen, the overall design of the J-10 fighter is excellent. We have learned a lot. I didn't expect fighter jet design to be so complex. Everyone loves to carry a sedan chair. If others respect you an inch, you must respect them 10 feet. Chief Engineer Song Wen then went on to explain the J-10 fighter's mounted weaponry. It can carry a variety of medium-range air-to-air missiles, active homing medium-range missiles, air-to-surface and air-to-ship missiles, and various laser-guided bombs. Lin Chenran was quite satisfied with the mounts. The J-10 fighter is a third-generation fighter, and its combat missions are far more extensive than those of the previous second-generation fighters, requiring it to be even more advanced. After Song Wen briefly explained the J-10 fighter jet, Lin Chenran led the applause, and the others followed suit, until the entire conference room erupted in thunderous applause. As the applause died down, Song Wen said with deep emotion, we've come to the right place today, coming to the 077 machinery arsenal. It's made us realize the numerous shortcomings of the J-10 fighter jet we designed and developed. Mr. Lin, your suggestions are invaluable. We will humbly accept them and make revisions. Lin Chenran quickly waved his hand, modestly saying, don't say that, Chief Engineer Song Wen. We're all learning from each other. Your design concepts are equally valuable and have benefited us greatly. He knew not to be overconfident, lest he come across as overbearing. Then, Chief Engineer Song Wen outlined his requirements for the special composite material used in the J-10 fighter jet. He stated that this composite material must possess high strength, high toughness, and high temperature resistance to ensure the aircraft's safety and reliability at high speeds and in complex environments. He also emphasized the importance of the material's lightweight properties in improving the aircraft's performance. Chief Engineer Song Wen turned his gaze to Lin Chenran and asked, Director Lin, can your 077 mechanical arsenal meet our requirements for this special composite material? Faced with this question, Lin Chenran did not answer directly, but responded with a smile. Chief Engineer Song, regarding special composite materials, I would like to ask who's Iafan, the person in charge of the special materials project of our mechanical arsenal, to give you a detailed introduction. Engineer who is an expert in this field. Lin Chenran smiled slightly and invited Hu Xiaofan to answer Chief Engineer Song Wen's question. Husayarafan cleared his throat and began to say, "Dear leaders, our 077 mechanical arsenal has been committed to the research and development of special composite materials. At present, we have developed a variety of high-performance special composite materials that can meet the needs of different fields." Then, Husayarafan gave a detailed introduction to several special composite materials they had developed, including their performance parameters, application scenarios, etc. These materials have undergone rigorous testing and verification and have good reliability and stability. Husayarafan pondered for a moment, then said, "Based on the J-10 fighter's design requirements, I've selected several suitable special composite materials from our existing portfolio at the 077 Machinery and Military Factory for your reference. These special composite materials possess high strength and toughness, and can also withstand a certain degree of high temperature." With that, Husayarafan handed the relevant materials to Chief Engineer Song Wen and the J-10 fighter's design and development team for their careful review. Chief Engineer Song Wen and the others flipped through the materials, occasionally exchanging opinions with the experts around them. After a moment, he looked up and said to Husayarafan with satisfaction, "General Manager Lin, Engineer Hu, the special composite materials your 077 Machinery and Military Factory provided all perfectly meet our needs. It's a moment that leaves us with a difficult decision." The J-10 fighter's design and development team was momentarily struck by a dilemma. The main reason was that the special composite materials provided by the 077 Machinery and Military Factory were all excellent and met the J-10 fighter's requirements. Laughter erupted in the conference room. Initially, the J-10 fighter's design and development team had assumed the 077 Machinery and Military Factory wouldn't have the special composite materials that perfectly matched their needs. Unexpectedly, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory gave them a big surprise. The 077 Machinery and Military Factory had a variety of special composite materials that met the needs of the J-10 fighter design and development team. Chief Engineer Song Wen, "You can carefully select them, don't worry." Then Lin Chenran said jokingly, "Our special composite materials are being developed very rapidly. Maybe by the time you use them, our special composite materials will have made new breakthroughs." Everyone in the conference room burst into laughter. Indeed, according to the design and development speed of the J-10 fighter, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory might not have designed, developed, and produced more advanced special composite materials yet. The main reason is that the number of problems that the J-10 fighter needs to solve is relatively large and very difficult. Chapter 171 Reporting the development of the J-10 fighter to the senior military officials of Yan State. Lin Chenran and a group of senior executives from the 077 Mechanical Arsenal stood in front of the complex building, solemnly watching the J-10 fighter design and development team slowly leave. When the last car disappeared in the distance, Lin Chenran turned around, looked at the senior executives behind him and said, "Okay, everyone go back to work. We still have a lot to do." His voice was calm and firm, making people feel an inexplicable power. So, everyone from the 077 Mechanical Arsenal dispersed and returned to their jobs. Lin Chenran walked into his office alone, closed the door, sat quietly in a chair, thinking about future plans, especially the research on radar and the power output of the aircraft. Time passed quickly, and a week passed in the blink of an eye. Song Wen came to the headquarters of the Yan State military and found the senior military leaders. He held a thick document in his hand with the words "the latest design and development plan for the J-10 fighter" printed on it. The senior military leaders took the document and began to read it carefully. As they read deeper, their expressions gradually became serious. "Is this your Chengfei Military Industry Company's new J-10 fighter jet design?" a senior military official asked. Song Wen nodded and said, "Yes, we've put forward this proposal after careful consideration. We hope to gain your approval." After a while, one of the senior military officials asked, "I noticed that the powertrain and radar systems in this proposal have been significantly improved. What are the considerations behind these improvements?" Song Wen took a deep breath and replied, "Commander, these improvements are based on our research and analysis of advanced international fighter aircraft technology. There are many aspects that we hadn't considered before. The senior military officials nodded slightly in understanding. In fact, the Yanjiuo military had not been particularly satisfied with Chengfei Military Industry Company's J-10 fighter jet design. However, they lacked a strong design and development plan. Furthermore, Yanjiuo was lagging behind in engines and radar. Active phased array radars were particularly advanced, and Yanjiuo had no research in this area. This technology was highly advanced and strictly blocked abroad. No relevant technology had ever been leaked. At this point, another high-ranking military official calmly stated, "We haven't yet mastered active phased array radar technology. I wonder if your Chengfei Military Industry Company is currently working on any related projects?" Song Wen bluntly replied, "Commander, you should be aware that the development and final production of the J-10 fighter jet takes considerable time. I firmly believe that by then, China will have its own active phased array radar technology." Another high-ranking Yanjiuo military official then questioned, "Have you considered the cost issue? Will such a large-scale improvement lead to excessive costs? After all, there's a huge price gap between foreign third-generation fighters and second-generation fighters. Foreign third-generation fighters are significantly more expensive than second-generation fighters, even drastically so." Faced with this question, Song Wen gave a helpless wry smile and replied, "Commander, third-generation fighters are inherently expensive. Trying to reduce costs is nearly impossible. The pursuit of high performance and advanced technology in third-generation fighters comes at a price. Cost savings are unacceptable. Today's third-generation fighters are hailed as technologically advanced aircraft. Their existence has revolutionized modern air combat. In aerial combat, third-generation fighters have demonstrated unparalleled combat effectiveness, practically unstoppable. On one occasion, a third-generation fighter encountered 5 second-generation fighters mid-air. The outcome of this aerial battle was unsurprising. The third-generation fighter easily defeated its opponent in the encounter, successfully shooting down 5 second-generation fighters. Most importantly, it remained unscathed, gracefully departing the air combat zone like an elegant dancer. In contrast, the 5 second-generation fighters were not so lucky. None of them were spared. All were shot down. This victory in the aerial battle greatly ignited the Yan state military's enthusiasm and resolve for developing third-generation fighters. Only by mastering the most advanced technology can the security of the nation's airspace be protected. Regardless of the cost of development, they decided to go all out and develop their own third-generation fighter. Does our Chengfei Military Industry Company have any ideas about engines? Can the AL-31FN turbofan engine be successfully imported? If we increase investment in the Taihang turbofan engine, can it be successfully developed? These questions constantly lingered in their minds. Aviation engines are known as the heart of a fighter jet, directly impacting its performance and combat capability. The AL-31FN turbofan engine is the heart of Russia's new third-generation fighter, the Su-27. Advanced aviation engine technology is a national secret. How could Russia easily give it away? Therefore, they certainly won't sell the AL-31FN turbofan engine technology, let alone the related production line. This involves national security and strategic interests, and no country will compromise easily. Russia may sell finished AL-31FN turbofan engines. While this wouldn't fundamentally solve the problem, it could at least temporarily alleviate Yan's need for high-performance engines. Yan's J-10 fighter jet still faces the dilemma of a lack of engines. Without sufficient engine supply, the J-10's production and deployment speed would be severely hampered, potentially even delaying the entire project. Faced with this dilemma, Song Wen was utterly frustrated. As an engineer, he understood the importance of independent research and development, and hoped to equip the J-10 fighter with its own engines. However, the reality was harsh. The Taihang turbofan engine simply wouldn't be suitable for the J-10 fighter in the short term. Currently, procuring the AL-31FN turbofan engine seemed the only option. Commander, I understand your concerns, but the current situation is truly challenging. We need to find a solution quickly, otherwise the development of the J-10 fighter will be severely hampered, Song Wen said bitterly. He also wanted the J-10 fighter to use its own engines, but reality forced him to make some compromises. Despite his reluctance, Song Wen understood that procuring the AL-31FN turbofan engines was only a temporary solution. Only through continuous effort and investment could the current difficulties be overcome, and the J-10 fighter be equipped with its own heart soon. The introduction of the AL-31FN turbofan engine was essential. After Lin Chenran returned to his office, he began to make arrangements. He would soon travel north to Russia. Chapter 172, Negotiating with the Russian Bear, You Must Drink with Him. After Lin Chenran arranged all matters of the 077 mechanical arsenal, he took several senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal on a plane to the north. Their destination was Russia. At the same time, a large amount of supplies were being prepared in full swing. These supplies will be transported by land to the border of Yan country near Russia. Once Lin Chenran reaches an agreement with Kavlovich of Russia and the forces behind him, these goods will be continuously transported from the border of Yan country to Russia. After a long flight, Lin Chenran landed at the imperial capital airport and then took a car to Vladivostok. Lin Chenran and others finally arrived at the border between Yan country and Russia. Here, they were strictly inspected by border inspectors from both sides. At the same time, Kavlovich, who was far away in the Far East Fleet in Vladivostok, received a telegram from Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran, why are you in Vladivostok again? After receiving Lin Chenran's sudden attack telegram, Kavlovich looked very surprised and confused. Every time Lin Chenran came to China, it was a huge opportunity for him. Ever since the trade route between Yan country and Russia opened up, Kavlovich had capitalized on it and made a killing, his pockets now overflowing with wealth. Kavlovich had also expanded his network through this trade route, meeting many influential figures he had previously dreaded. As he continuously channeled benefits to these influential figures, or rather, opened up new avenues for them to make money, his position within the Russian Far East Fleet grew. Kavlovich eagerly anticipated Lin Chenran's arrival, eager to capitalize on this opportunity to climb the ladder and achieve even greater goals. Ambitious individuals are never satisfied with the status quo. After a long and arduous journey, Lin Chenran and other senior executives from the 077 mechanical arsenal finally arrived in Vladivostok. They checked into the same hotel they had stayed in on their previous visit to Vladivostok. Although the surroundings were familiar, the mood this time was completely different. The road conditions today were a world apart from those of later times. The roads were in dilapidated condition, making the ride a torturous experience. After a bumpy and shaky ride, they finally reached their destination. After arriving, everyone decided to take a day off to relieve the fatigue of the journey. The next day, Lin Chenran called Kavlovich. Kavlovich, I'm already in Vladivostok. Do you want to come out for a drink tonight? Lin Chenran invited him enthusiastically. Hearing Lin Chenran's voice, Kavlovich smiled. Lin, warmly welcome to Russia. Welcome to beautiful Vladivostok. He was excited about Lin Chenran's arrival and immediately accepted his invitation. We must have a drink, for our friendship. Yura. Kavlovich shouted passionately. That's right, for our friendship, Davary. Lin Chenran also responded. The two agreed to meet at the Red Romance Tavern in Vladivostok, and the time was set in the evening. At the agreed time, after arriving at the Red Romance Tavern, Lin Chenran stood at the door, waiting for Kavlovich's arrival. After a while, Lin Chenran saw a familiar figure, and his face instantly filled with a smile. Kavlovich, this way. Lin Chenran smiled and waved to the distance. After hearing the voice, Kavlovich looked in the direction of the voice. When he saw Lin Chenran, a happy smile immediately appeared on his face. Then he strode over and raised his hand and waved vigorously. Then, Kavlovich quickened his pace and walked to Lin Chenran and gave him a warm hug. Lin, welcome to our Maoziang again. Kavlovich sincerely expressed his welcome to Lin Chenran. Kavlovich, thank you for your hospitality. Lin Chenran replied with a smile. Maoziang is a beautiful country. It has vast lands, magnificent natural scenery, and a long and splendid history and culture. At the same time, Maoziang also has strong military strength and scientific and technological level, and plays an important role on the international stage. In addition, the Maoziang people are famous for their indomitable spirit and fearless qualities. Lin Chenran praised Maoziang without hesitation. Seeing the beaming smile on Kavlovich's face, Lin Chenran knew his praise had already won him over. Kavlovich was delighted that he could so sincerely praise his country, which instilled in him greater trust and respect for Lin Chenran. Kavlovich smiled and replied, "Thank you very much, Lin. Your Yan country is also a remarkable country. Yan country boasts a vast population and a long history of civilization. In recent years, it has achieved remarkable achievements in the fields of economy, science, and technology. Your reform and opening up policy, in particular, has made Yan country one of the most dynamic and promising economies in the world. I firmly believe that with the deepening of reform and opening up, you will achieve even greater development." Kavlovich, not to be outdone, also spoke highly of Yan country. "Everyone loves to carry a sedan chair. If you pay me an inch, I'll pay you a foot." Speaking kindly to each other not only strengthens mutual affection, but also offers no loss. Therefore, both Lin Chenran and Kavlovich were delighted to hear each other's praise for their country. Then, Lin Chenran warmly invited Kavlovich into the Red Romantic Tavern. The bartender at the Red Romance Tavern saw a familiar figure and approached enthusiastically. "Hello, Mr. Kavlovich, what can I do for you?" Kavlovich smiled and replied, "Lachi Berry, prepare a bottle of vodka for each of us." Upon hearing this, Lachi Berry immediately went to prepare it. Soon, Lachi Berry handed everyone a bottle of vodka. "Mr. Kavlovich, please enjoy. If you have any other questions, you can come to me," Lachi Berry said respectfully. Kavlovich skillfully opened the vodka on the table. "Lin, come here." Kavlovich opened a bottle of vodka. Lin Chenran also skillfully opened a bottle of vodka. Then, Lin Chenran and Kavlovich clinked their bottles. After clinking their bottles, they began to drink. The others from the 077 mechanical arsenal followed suit, opening their vodka bottles and drinking. After taking a few sips, Kavlovich asked directly, "Lin, what are you doing here this time?" Lin Chenran took a sip and said slowly, "In order to expand the international trade of Yan country, the Russian bear, I brought a large number of light industrial goods this time. The subsequent cooperation will be discussed on this basis." Kavlovich heard this, and his face was filled with a bright smile. "Really? Chapter 173, Ending Up Living the Way I Hate." Kavlovich found this unrealistic. Of course, his idea was to expand the cooperation. After all, the larger the scale of the collaboration, the greater the benefits Kavlovich would reap. "Kavlovich, I know you're in dire need of light industrial goods in your country right now. I'll increase my supply, so we can all make money together." Lin Chenran smiled faintly. He was making a significant portion of the profits. This was mainly because Lin Chenran was purchasing a batch of light industrial goods from Yan country at very low prices, and after shipping them to Russia, he could earn several times the profit. Kavlovich and his colleagues knew the profits were enormous. Kavlovich and other top Russian officials had long hoped that Lin Chenran would expand the trade route from Yan country to Russia, as this would allow them to reap greater profits. However, Lin Chenran had always evaded them with various excuses. Now that Lin Chenran had taken the initiative to propose expanding the cooperation, Kavlovich couldn't help but feel puzzled. But Kavlovich's expression was greedy. Although the light in the Red Romance Tavern was dim, Lin Chenran could see the greed on Kavlovich's face. Lin Chenran thought to himself, "It's settled. As long as Kavlovich showed a greedy look, there would be an opportunity for negotiation." Then Lin Chenran continued to drink vodka with Kavlovich there, clinking bottles and chatting about all kinds of things. Both sides tacitly did not discuss business. 2 hours later, Lin Chenran and Kavlovich each drank 2 bottles of vodka. But there was not a trace of drunkenness on their faces. It was as if the vodka they just drank was boiled water. What a good alcohol tolerance. Then Lin Chenran and Kavlovich looked at each other and nodded to each other in tacit understanding. "Check out." Lin Chenran waved to the bartender of the Red Romantic Tavern and instructed a senior executive of the 077 mechanical arsenal to pay the bill. Then, Lin Chenran followed Kavlovich to the latter's house. "Lin, besides increasing the trade between the two sides, do you have anything else to do when you came to our country?" Kavlovich asked directly. "Mr. Kavlovich Davary, I've come to Russia for a few things." Lin Chenran then stated the purpose of his visit. "What? Lin, did I hear correctly? You want to import our newly developed AL-31FN turbofan engine?" Kavlovich was completely shocked. A hint of irritation crossed his face. The Su-27 fighter jet had only recently entered service with the Russian military, and most importantly, its performance was exceptional. Most importantly, the Su-27 fighter jet had just entered service with the Russian military, delivered to the Russian military in 1985. The Far Eastern Fleet, where Kavlovich served, also had Su-27s in service. The Su-27 fighter jet was nicknamed Flanker by Western countries. Developed by Russia's Sukhoi Corporation, the Su-27 is a single-seat, twin-engine, all-weather, heavy air superiority fighter, a third-generation fighter. The Su-27 fighter jet utilizes wing-body fusion technology, featuring a cantilevered mid-wing with smoothly curved, extending winglets extending outward from the wing root. It also features a normal twin vertical tail configuration, and a wedge-shaped air intake located below and forward of the wing-body fusion, ensuring excellent aerodynamic performance. Grid-type auxiliary doors are located at the bottom and side walls of the air intake to prevent the ingestion of foreign matter during takeoff and landing. The Su-27 is powered by two AL-31F turbofan engines, each with a thrust of 2x75.6 kN and 2x122.6 kN with afterburner. The aircraft is armed with a 30mm GSH-30-1 cannon. 10 hardpoints accommodate 10 R-27, R-73, and other air-to-surface missiles. Wingspan 14.70 meters length, 21.94 meters height, 5.93 meters maximum takeoff weight, 28,000 kilograms maximum level flight speed, 2,430 kilometers per hour. Service ceiling 18,000 meters. Maximum fuel range 3,880 kilometers. The Su-27 fighter can be said to be the most advanced fighter in the hands of the Russian Bear. It forms a high-low combination with the Mi-29 fighter. Now Lin Chenran actually wants the power heart of the Su-27 fighter. How could this not make Kavlovich angry? Lin Chenran said calmly, "Kavlovich, if you can help me get the AL-31FN turbofan engine, or even its technology and production line, I will not treat my friend unfairly." Kavlovich said angrily, "Lin, you not only want the finished AL-31FN turbofan engine, you also want its technology and production line. How is this possible?" In Kavlovich's view, Lin Chenran's idea was simply impossible to achieve. "Kavlovich, anything is possible," Lin Chenran said mysteriously. "Kavlovich, you negotiate with the high-ranking officials behind you. I come here with great sincerity. Of course, even if the deal doesn't go through, we'll still have a bond. Even if we can't reach an agreement on the AL-31FN turbofan engine and I can't import it, it won't affect our relationship," Lin Chenran emphasized solemnly. Upon hearing this, Kavlovich's anger vanished, replaced by a serious expression. But a greedy look flickered in his eyes. Kavlovich was still tempted by the huge profit. "Lin, I can only report to my superiors. I can't guarantee whether you can import the AL-31FN turbofan engine. As you know, the AL-31FN turbofan engine is our country's most advanced technology. This requires the approval of our superiors. But I will do my best to achieve your wish." Kavlovich sighed deeply. He had finally become the person he once hated. That sigh seemed to be a farewell to the past. "No problem, I'll wait for your good news." Lin Chenran certainly knew that Kavlovich could not make the final decision on the export of AL-31FN turbofan engines. Then Kavlovich continued, "Anything else?" Lin Chenran said calmly, "I want to sell you the high-intensity radiation protection robots and high-intensity radiation protection suits we produce. There are not many countries in the world that have nuclear weapons, but in order to respond to the call of the country, our military factory produces a batch of high-intensity radiation protection suits and robots. Now there are extra ones. I want to sell them to countries with nuclear weapons." Lin Chenran waved his hand and said indifferently, "Radiation protection equipment?" Kavlovich was completely stunned. "There is a market for this?" Lin Chenran smiled faintly. "It doesn't matter whether they want it or not, just promote it." Kavlovich pondered. Promoting radiation protection equipment and increasing trade are both empty promises. The biggest goal is probably to obtain the finished AL-31FN turbofan engine, related technology, and production lines from them. Lin Chenran looked at the watch on his wrist and said goodbye to Kavlovich. "Kavlovich, I'm leaving first. If you have any news, please let me know. I will be staying in Russia for a week or two." Chapter 174, asking if the AL-31FN turbofan engine can be sold. After Lin Chenran left, Kavlovich quickly set off. He was going to discuss with the big boss behind him whether the AL-31FN turbofan engine could be sold to Yan country. Since Lin Chenran came to discuss the purchase of the AL-31FN turbofan engine, it must have been instructed by the Yan country military. Soon, Kavlovich arrived at the Far East Fleet's base and knocked on the door of the office of Leo Gago, the commander of the Far East Fleet. "Come in." Leo Gago heard a knock on the door, and then he let the person in. "General Gago." Kavlovich saluted Leo Gago solemnly. "Kavlovich, it's you. Sit here." Leo Gago saw Kavlovich coming, and a bright smile instantly filled his face. Then Leo Gago invited Kavlovich to the sofa area. An adjutant brought in 2 cups of hot coffee. Kavlovich sat on the soft sofa, picked up a cup of hot coffee, took a sip, and felt the warm liquid slide down his throat. He and Leo Gago sat across from each other, their eyes locked, as if they could read each other's thoughts. "Kavlovich, what's the matter? Why are you so anxious to see me?" Leo Gago was the first to break the silence, his eyes revealing a hint of curiosity and anticipation. Kavlovich put down his coffee cup and said seriously, "General Gago, Lin Chenran is here again." "Oh, is he here to expand the trade route between Yan country and Russia?" Leo Gago's smile widened when he heard that Lin Chenran had come to Russia. He had profited enormously from this trade route between Yan country and Russia. He had made a killing. He must be thinking of expanding it further. "General Gago, increasing trade volume is only one reason. Lin Chenran has other reasons for coming here." Kavlovich began to hesitate, unable to speak. "Kavlovich, let's talk. We can discuss anything, as long as Lin Chenran's demands are not excessive." Leo Gago still smiled. Kavlovich took a deep breath and said slowly, "They want to buy our AL-31FN turbofan engine." "What? How is that possible?" Leo Gago's eyes widened, his face filled with surprise. He hadn't expected Lin Chenran to be so greedy this time, actually wanting the AL-31FN turbofan engine that his country had just developed. Who gave Lin Chenran such courage? Kavlovich nodded slightly and continued, "Lin Chenran did make such a request." Leo Gago fell into deep thought, his fingers tapping lightly on the table, making a crisp sound. The AL-31FN turbofan engine is one of their country's most advanced aircraft engines, with extremely high technological content. If it were sold to Yan country, it would have serious consequences. Kavlovich watched Leo Gago's expression change, and he couldn't help but feel a little worried. In fact, Kavlovich's mentality had already quietly changed. Now he has become a complete egoist. If a man does not work for himself, he will be punished by heaven and earth. With only himself and his children in his mind, everything else no longer matters. In his eyes, the so-called national interests have become insignificant, not even as important as a piece of waste paper used for going to the toilet. "General Gago, if this plan is successfully implemented, and Lin Chenran gets the AL-31FN turbofan engine and its related technologies and production lines, we will make huge profits." In order to persuade Leo Gago to agree to the proposal to sell the AL-31FN turbofan engine, Kavlovich made no secret of the fact that, once the mission is completed, everyone will get a generous reward. Upon hearing this, a greedy look immediately appeared on Leo Gago's face. Obviously, he was also attracted by the tempting prospects described by Kavlovich. However, out of caution, Leo Gago did not make a decision on the spot. He frowned, thought for a moment, and then said, "Kavlovich, I'm undecided about this matter. We need to discuss how to help Lin Chenran obtain the AL-31FN turbofan engine through legal channels." Kavlovich nodded quickly to show his understanding. "General Gago, I understand your concerns. This is indeed a serious matter, and we must consider it carefully." At this moment, a tacit understanding permeated the two men. They were both aware of each other's intentions, a tacit understanding between them, because their goal was the same, to sell the AL-31FN turbofan engine to Lin Chenran. Faced with such tempting profits, who could easily give up? When the profit reaches 10%, they will be tempted to make a move. When the profit reaches 50%, they will take risks. When the profit reaches 300%, they dare to risk the gallows. Now, as long as they sell the AL-31FN turbofan engine and related technologies and production lines, they can reap huge profits. Everyone has a heartwarming moment. Satisfied with having received a partial answer from Leo Gaggo, Kavlovich departed. He knew that the forces behind Leo Gaggo would take action and provide assistance to ensure the successful sale of the AL-31FN turbofan engine to Lin Chenran. Leo Gaggo then picked up the phone, dialed a number, and spoke with his like-minded Davary, informing him of Lin Chenran's needs. At the same moment, Lin Chenran, upon returning to the hotel from Kavlovich's visit, immediately convened a small meeting. The topic of the meeting was how to further expand the trade route between Yan country and the Russian Bear. The several new executives from the 077 machinery and military factory that Lin Chenran had brought with him were to replace the previous group. Annual personnel turnover was a rule they had established. Because this trade route brought in considerable profits, Lin Chenran could not guarantee that those responsible for the Yan country Russia trade route at his own 077 machinery and military factory would not become greedy and seek personal gain. A 1-year rotation would largely eliminate this practice of seeking personal gain. After everyone arrived, Lin Chenran said, "Thank you all for your hard work. You've been busy working for our 077 machinery and military factory in a foreign country, maintaining the trade route between Yan country and the Russian Bear, and helping the factory earn enormous profits. Give yourselves a round of applause." Lin Chenran then led the applause, and the other executives of the 077 machinery and military factory followed suit. Suddenly, the entire room erupted in thunderous applause. Soon, the applause died down, and Lin Chenran continued, "I've arranged your positions. Everyone gets promoted." The room erupted in applause again, and several executives cheered. They were finally being transferred back to China. "We worked overtime until after 8 AM today, working over 10 hours. Crazy overtime after the Mid-Autumn Festival. I'm sick. I'm writing late today, and the update is also late. Sorry everyone. I'm here to give you a kowtow." Chapter 175, The Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant Explosion. Lin Chenran arranged for the two groups to exchange ideas and coordinate their work. Subsequently, the overseas senior management of the 077 machinery and military factory met with the newly arrived representatives of the trader trade route. This ensured smooth information sharing and collaboration between the two sides, improving efficiency and avoiding misunderstandings and delays caused by miscommunication. Furthermore, this provided the arriving senior management of the 077 machinery and military factory with first-hand information, allowing them to fully prepare for the upcoming trader trade route between Yan country and Russia. As time passed, a week passed. Time slipped by. Due to the unique characteristics of the AL-31FN turbofan engine, Kavlovich's supporters were momentarily unable to make a decision. This engine boasts exceptional performance, particularly in terms of power output. It significantly enhances the newly launched third-generation fighter, the Su-27, giving it formidable combat capabilities and flight performance. Kavlovich and his supporters were well aware of the importance of this engine. If Lin Chenran brought it back to Yan country, it would likely fall into the hands of the Yan military, thereby enhancing Yan's military strength. Therefore, Kavlovich and the forces behind him must carefully weigh the pros and cons. April 26th was destined to be a monumental event in human history, shocking the world. On that day, the unimaginable occurred. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant, Russia's largest nuclear power plant, which began construction in 1973 and officially opened in 1977, experienced a devastating explosion. This accident is widely considered one of the worst nuclear disasters in history, and was the first to be classified as a level 7 major accident on the International Nuclear Event Scale, INS. This major nuclear accident undoubtedly captured global attention. This night was destined to be a sleepless one. The Russian army quickly entered a state of combat readiness. Even the Far Eastern Fleet was not spared. The catastrophic explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant within Russia's borders would completely alter order within the country. Those former opposition forces would inevitably resurface, further disrupting domestic order. The top leaders of the Russian army must act decisively and order the army to enter a level 1 combat readiness state to prevent any possible troublemakers, opponents, etc. from plotting behind the scenes. At this moment, a rapid knock on the door suddenly sounded, as if to wake up the whole world. Lin Chenran, who was sleeping soundly, vaguely heard the knock on the door, but he was so tired that it took him a long time to wake up slowly. He rubbed his bloodshot eyes, trying to wake himself up, and then dragged his confused body towards the door step by step. When he reached the door, he looked out through the peephole, trying to see the situation outside the door clearly. Lin Chenran saw the staff of his own 077 mechanical arsenal standing outside the door, their faces showing anxious and nervous expressions. And among them, there was a man standing Kavlovich. Kavlovich's face was pale, and his eyes revealed an unconcealable fear. Could it be? Or thought flashed through Lin Chenran's mind, did the Chernobyl nuclear power plant explode? This was a parallel world, and many things were different from the history he was familiar with. Although he had previously had a premonition, he couldn't help but start to speculate. He was unsure whether the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in this parallel world would explode as he remembered. Regardless, he was fully prepared. Even if the Chernobyl nuclear power plant ultimately did not explode, it would not be a major loss for Lin Chenran. If the Chernobyl nuclear power plant did explode, then their preparations would be of great benefit and could bring huge profits. Lin Chenran then opened his door, invited Kavlovich and others into the room, and inquired about the situation. Kavlovich, what brings you here so late? Has there been any results on the AL-31FN turbofan engine we discussed earlier? Lin Chenran asked with a smile. Kavlovich was stunned at first, then recovered. He did not directly respond to this topic, but instead asked about the high-intensity radiation-resistant camera robot and high-intensity radiation-resistant protective clothing in Lin Chenran's hands. Lin, you said before that you have a batch of high-intensity radiation-resistant equipment in your hands. Kavlovich asked anxiously. Lin Chenran instantly understood what the other party meant. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant really had a major problem as happened in history. A huge explosion and a nuclear leak. Kavlovich, you look anxious. Please don't be anxious. Tell me slowly what happened. Kavlovich took a deep breath and tried to keep himself calm. He looked into Lin Chenran's eyes and answered seriously. Lin, you may not know yet. Just 2 hours ago, a serious accident occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, causing the reactor to explode and trigger a nuclear leak. The situation is very critical now. We need to take action as soon as possible to control the situation. Lin Chenran's face instantly became solemn, and his eyes revealed an expression of astonishment and disbelief that was difficult to conceal. What? He exclaimed in shock. Such a massive explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, triggering a nuclear leak? How is that even possible? Kavlovich, today isn't April Fool's Day. Lin Chenran was utterly shocked and astonished. Kavlovich, with a serious expression, reiterated, Lin, everything I said is true. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to you so hastily. This accident is extremely serious and has caused widespread concern and panic. His tone was filled with anxiety and worry. Kavlovich, I'm so sorry. I really didn't expect such a major event. Lin Chenran quickly apologized, but in reality, he was already incredibly excited, even beaming with joy. He knew this disaster would bring him unprecedented opportunities. Lin Chenran possessed a fleet of high-strength radiation-resistant equipment and protective clothing. This was a bargaining chip. Russia urgently needed high-strength radiation-resistant equipment and facilities to investigate the situation inside the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. They also needed high-strength radiation-resistant protective clothing to handle the aftermath. Kavlovich, the equipment and radiation-resistant suits are already at our border. Lin Chenran stated directly the location of the high-intensity radiation-resistant equipment. Kavlovich, of course, knew what Lin Chenran was thinking. He wanted to capitalize on the huge profits from the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and ideally introduce the AL-31FN turbofan engine to Yan country. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.